underdog.com and sign up using promo code 1075. An Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 1075 to get your first deposit of $10 or more, matched plus your special pick. You must be 18 and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Hey, it's Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Beat the seasons with AAA Heating and Air in the South Carolina Midlands. Need a system upgrade? Get a free replacement estimate today. Worried about cost? Don't be. With their guaranteed financing options, comfort is always within your budget, especially with their new 12 months of no payments or interest in 2024. Plus, enjoy the assurance of a 15-year parts and labor warranty. Ready for an instant quote? Visit their website today and tell them Bill Gunner with 1075 The Game sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Have a passion for serving children and families? Apply to become a child welfare case manager at dss.sc.gov. This message is sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Social Services. Join Angry Fish Brewing Company this week as they celebrate St. Paddy's Day in style. They're excited to announce the release of 4 new beers: Snug Harbor 80 shillings, a Scottish Ale, Tight Lines Irish Red, Roundabout ESB, Extra Special Bitter, and Pints O Gold Irish Pale Ale. And that's not all. They'll have live music with Eric Flanders on Saturday from 7 to 10, along with delicious food available every day. Make your way to Angry Fish on Fabrister Lane in Lexington this week for a St. Paddy's Day celebration you won't forget. Remember, at Angry Fish, we drink all we can and sell the rest.
Head over to Hulu this March, where our new shows and movies will keep you streaming all month long. Catch the award-winning movie Poor Things, starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, and Willem Dafoe. Check out the new documentary, Freaknik, The Wildest Party Never Told, about the iconic Atlanta Street Party. And don't miss FX's Shogun, a reimagining of the epic tale, starring Anna Sawai. So, what are you waiting for? Go stream something new on Hulu.
At Progressive, we know money can't buy happiness. But money did buy your boat, where you find peace fishing, unlike at home with 3 teenage daughters. Because fish never argue about who stole whose crop top, or get mad the other fish used up all the hot water. No, they just swim around, never embarrassed to be seen with you in public. So save money by bundling your boat or RV insurance with home or auto from Progressive. And buy more happiness, or something close to it. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Hey, this is Gamecock catcher Cole Messina. You're listening to the home of the Gamecocks at 107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus media station.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
On this Monday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show. Good to be back. I feel like I've been gone a lot. And it's not necessarily all like our fault or responsibility. A lot of athletic events have been taking place during this time slot over the last couple of weeks. Bill Gunner was chastising me about it this morning, saying, hey, you don't even work anymore, do you? And I was like, hey, I mean, they could play games at 7 a.m. Nobody's watching, but they physically could. They could. Wouldn't be a great idea. I mean, I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays a lot to watch, English soccer.
Yeah. So some people would. But not many.
Not many. Not many. So anyway, good to be back.
I haven't been here in like a week.
Yeah, well, no, you've been working though. Elijah, in fact, some of you might have spotted Elijah right behind Tom Hart, yesterday's SEC championship.
Right. Got our logo out there.
That's good. That's good. It's
called marketing.
We'll be. That's all. That's all. What it's about, man. We will not be here Thursday, right? Or will we be here?
We would probably give you 2 good segments on Thursday.
Okay.
Because I believe it'll be about 3:30 estimated pregame. Because the estimated tip-off is 4 o'clock.
and before them is Creighton versus Akron.
I need to go get. I have not. Full disclosure, I have not filled out a bracket yet.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. I told you. Bill and I had our TV show today, and I tried to wait and at least get a little bit, and I wanted to watch. You know, I saw most of the selection show on CBS, and I've seen a little bit of the Sports Center recap, you know, with Reese and Billis and Seth and Jason Williams. But I have not yet filled out the bracket. So I will do that. I only fill out one bracket.
That's the way to go.
And once I'm ready to fill the bracket out, then I fill the bracket out. I don't stop and look, and it's not like a hunt and peck when I'm typing. I don't do that, man. I'm like a 200-word a minute bracket filler outer.
Bam.
Yeah.
Straight to the point.
Just do it. Just let your instinct take over. South Carolina gets, I think, a really interesting draw. There are only a few anymore what you would really consider, quote, favorable draws in this event. There is so much parity. In the last couple of years, after having never seen it, we've seen 2-1s lose to 16s. The interesting stat about Purdue, they're the only team in the 64-team era to have lost 3 consecutive games to double-digit seeds in the first round. I mean, and this is mighty Purdue of the mighty Big Ten, and I'm not ragging on them. They're good, man. They're great. But they just, it can't bite them this time.
Let's see.
It just can't bite them this time.
I'm trying to think. It was Fairleigh Dickinson, the 16-1 last year. Then it was St. Peter's year before. Forgot who it was before that.
Well, Virginia lost to UMBC.
Yeah,
as a 1. Was St. Peter's? They were against. You mean against Purdue?
Yeah,
Against
Purdue's
Purdue. Sorry.
Losses against double-digit seeds.
But what was St. Peter's?
They were 15.
15.
They're the only 15 to ever make the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that was a good run.
Remarkable run.
Purdue has got who this time? The winner of Montana State and Grambling. I was surprised yesterday to learn that Grambling has never made this event. I know they're primarily a football school, but I would have figured at some point.
Same, yeah, that was surprising to me as well.
But that Grambling has never been in this event before, so that's kind of cool.
A first-timer.
Again, they're known for everything they've done on the gridiron. But anyway, but the Gamecocks get a really nice draw. I think, it's a game they can win. They're slight favorites. There is a former Gamecock, Jermaine Couisnard, on that Oregon team. Played with Jacoby Wright and Josh Gray here. That was a couple of years ago. We'll break that one down for you a lot throughout the week, of course. Meanwhile, Dawn Staley's team is the overwhelming favorite. In fact, I think, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think they're like minus 110. And Iowa is next at like plus 450. So
it's basically them versus the field.
Yeah.
If you're betting on it.
Yeah, I mean, and Iowa, we know what Iowa's all about, and they're the second favorite at plus 450. So that's a significant difference. And if and even I can do some of these basic ones. I don't know a lot about gambling, but that means what you win. So in other words, if you on South Carolina to win $100, you'd have to bet 110. If you bet $100 on Iowa, you'll win $450. That's what that means. But the women's team. Look, they're. Here's the thing: that 8-9 game. I'm not saying watch out for it, but North Carolina played them tough, and Michigan State is good. Big Ten women's basketball very strong.
It's a deep league.
It
especially
is
this year.
You got to be careful, and I think a couple of recent speed bumps that Carolina cleared have at least sort of, reinvigorated potential opponents to go, okay, if you follow the blueprint fully to its conclusion, you got an opportunity there. Now, with all due respect to the winner of Sacred Heart and Presbyterian, the Gamecocks saw PC earlier.
Bless their Sacred Heart, yes.
Yes, nice. Wish I had thought of that.
If they win, that's got to be the headline.
Well, if they beat PC, that's it's fine. But South Carolina beat Presbyterian by 70, and that
close game.
Yeah. So
was there? Can't confirm.
I expect them to get out of Friday afternoon, but Sunday could just get interesting. And if I may, I'm glad I'm fine with, glad, whatever, that the women's tournament this year is doing this sort of 2-region thing. Albany 1, Albany 2, Portland 1, Portland 2.
America loves a good sequel.
You're going to send everybody out there to do whatever. Portland, Oregon is a big city. I grant you it's way far away from most places, but it nevertheless is a big city. And big cities in this nation are typically pretty easy to get to, especially from, say, hubs. You know, if you want to fly to Chicago on United and get to Portland or Atlanta or whatever, you know. Albany, New York, man, is look, it's bigger than Columbia, but you gotta work to get to Albany, man. Like, why wouldn't you want to put it, just my opinion, why wouldn't you put that double event now in a bigger city? Like, hear me out, New York City, or even Brooklyn or Newark, if you're going to be up that way. How about Boston, if you're going to be up that way? Just my opinion. Just my opinion. And again, I'm sure Albany, I've never been to Albany. It's a fine town. I have a couple of really great dead shows from Albany at the old Knickerbocker Arena. That's what I know of Albany, okay? That's what I know.
That is the extent of your Albany expertise. That's more than I have. I've got nothing.
I do know it's the capital of the state of New York. And again, it's a pretty good-sized town. I'm not dogging you, Albany. I'm maybe more the decision makers at the NCAA level. Hey, let's get a big media center involved in our tournament once we start doing this. Again, Portland, Portland's like Charlotte. That's a big town. They're
large.
They're good. They're good. But Iowa a 1, Texas a 1, Southern Cal. I expect South Carolina to win this tournament. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody else does too. I don't know what rematches. I think people would love to see them play Iowa. I think LSU versus Iowa, which is a possibility in that'd be the round of 8. Mm-hmm. Right? I think people want to see that. There's some other good ones out there. Again, Texas is probably going, all right, ain't nobody thinking about us right now.
The quietest seed in all of college basketball.
In a long time, man. In a long time. So we'll get into some of those things for you. Coach Paris and Coach Staley speaking yesterday at their respective selection events. The men were down at home team. The women were inside the arena. Back to the men. Houston had it handed to them yesterday. Iowa State really thumped them. And that brings me up to, how Carolina fans felt on Friday, because Auburn thumped Carolina again. And I get why people didn't like that. I had a few back and forths. I had one guy hit me and say, so I'm supposed to be okay with this? You can feel however you want to feel, man. I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I'm just saying, from my point of view, and if you think it's too easy to say that bad matchup is just, one guy told me it was a cop-out, and I'm not here to, rag on people that were taking a shot or whatever. I'm fine with give and take. It's sports, after all. And I think most people understood what happened. It's not a cop-out to say that it's a bad matchup. And here's why it's not a cop-out. Because it's a bad matchup. When Auburn is playing their best, and this is one of Elijah's stats that I thought about the whole time, Auburn is the only program in the United States of America that is in the top 10 of both offensive and defensive efficiency. Auburn has lost 6 games, but when they win, Saturday against Mississippi State is their only victory by single digits. Every other game that Auburn won this year, which is 28, 27?
27 games.
They won by double digits. When Auburn is playing at their best, they are fantastic. They are a 4 seed, should frighten the teams ahead of them.
Especially UConn. You want to get them in the Sweet 16. Those guys?
I think, I really do. And maybe I have recency bias. I don't know. Look, UConn, by the way, the only one that didn't lose their final game.
Mm-hmm.
Chapel Hill lost to State. Man, how about State, by the way? Wow.
That's miraculous. That is a movie-esque
5 games.
run.
again, Tennessee lost on Friday to State, Mississippi State. And Houston yesterday didn't even, Kelvin, the look on Kelvin Sampson's face was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Iowa State just ran roughshod over him.
For about 10 minutes on, that thing was over.
Yeah. And Iowa State's excellent. Yeah, they're excellent.
But being the number 8 seed overall is a crime as well.
But yeah, but Auburn, again, the reason I'm not sitting here sweating it from my own perspective is, I saw what happened in Auburn. I saw it happen again on Friday in Nashville, and you were there, Elijah, and we'll certainly get more of your take on this. But from my point of view, look, what I meant was South Carolina won 13 conference games. You held the conference champion to its 2 lowest outputs in conference play, and you split with them. You beat Florida, who beat Auburn. You beat Mississippi State twice, who went toe-to-toe with Auburn.
Beat Auburn early in the regular season.
And you maybe say, well, then, Jay, why couldn't we beat Auburn? And I get that. Here's what I think. When Auburn is at its best on both ends of the floor, their style in direct relation to South Carolina's style it's far superior. Those other teams, Mississippi State would rather get up and down the floor, and they can defend at a high level. Florida would rather get up and down the floor. Tennessee would rather get up and down the floor, and Carolina found ways to match up. Auburn is just better against a school like South Carolina, a team, a brand, a style like South Carolina. And South Carolina is not prolific enough offensively when they are being defended the way Auburn defends to go toe-to-toe with the Auburn Tigers. And that's why you just slowly, in both games, you just watched it where you couldn't, because when Carolina's forced to take the bad shots they were taking, they're just not going to drop.
And Lamont after the game said, because Auburn didn't shoot the lights out or anything, and that was kind of the big difference between the first meeting and this one, was that they didn't shoot, all that wildly. But he said everything they wanted to do, every action that made them comfortable, Auburn just blew it up. They blew up the dribble handoffs. They were able to chase through screens and not have any separation between defender and cutter. They are defensively about as overwhelming as any team you will find in college basketball. Oh, and they play 10 players.
Yeah.
They are that's a 10-deep rotation. So deep. Dylan Cardwell is a starting Power 5 center.
Yeah.
He comes off the bench.
Yeah.
And he plays really good minutes and gives them a ton in just a small amount of time. That's another reason why that Auburn is just, when these two teams play, it's contrasting styles, and Auburn is just better at dictating the terms and conditions of the basketball game.
Yeah, and again, that's why. So I just come around and just to simplify, from my point of view, bad matchup for South Carolina. But here's the good news: if you see Auburn again, I think it'll be for a national title. So you'd like that. Lots more to do on this Monday. 803-404-6100 is the postgame show.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Let me tell you about our great friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. And if you are a homeowner looking to make some improvements, the family is growing. You're tired of that kitchen that, looks like it was designed in the 1980s, and it's time for something new. Maybe you've got that room over the garage that you want turned into the kids' playroom, or a place for you and your buddies to gather up, watch sports. Take advantage of Palmetto Citizens' terrific home equity loans. When you unlock your home's equity, you can easily access that line of credit over a 10-year draw period. So you can make improvements as they are needed rather than one big lump. And that way you're not borrowing as much, paying anything else. They're ready to help you out. You can apply today at palmettocitizens.org or stop into any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations. My wife and I are customers. We love what they've done for us. We think you will too. Check them out. Their NMLS ID number is 449996, federally insured by the NCUA. Palmetto Citizens, achieve your potential.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Let's go inside the Nest.
Hey, my name is Danny Johnson with RDJ Remodeling. Recently, I got a custom job of a lifetime. I was referred to Rachel at the Nest, and Rachel and all of her co-workers, including the guys at the warehouse, have gone out of their way to be helpful. Their pricing has been in line with our expectations. And honestly, it's their customer service that has more than met our expectations. The Nest has truly been great to work with.
Come see for yourself at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street in the Vista.
It's getting warm outside, and now's the time to have the wind in your face and your knees in the breeze on a new Honda motorcycle from Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Right now, you can get up to $1,000 in free accessories with the purchase of a new Honda Street Bike, Gold Wings, Rebel 500s, Rebel 1100s, Honda Fury, and more. This deal is exclusive at Carolina Honda Powerhouse and won't last long. Get up to $1,000 in free accessories on your new Honda Street Bike. Hurry in today. Take exit 70 off I-20 and turn by the Flying J, or visit carolinahonda.com.
Get your taste buds ready. Chicken Parm just got an upgrade. The new Chicken Parmesan Meatball Sub from Firehouse Subs is made with savory chicken meatballs and a bright marinara sauce topped with shaved Parmesan, melted provolone, and crispy Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, served on a toasted garlic bread roll. Try the new Chicken Parmesan Meatball Sub for a limited time only at Firehouse Subs. Order online or on the app today. They make their subs differently because their subs can make a difference every day. Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives.
Hey, it's Kat from the Tile Shop. Whether you're building a new home or looking to update your current one, come on down to our showroom with over 70 displays that'll be sure to inspire you. We carry everything from porcelain to natural stone, guaranteeing there's something for every taste. Our expert design team will walk you through the process, making it fun and easy. We're located at 275 Harbison Boulevard, right next to Total Wine, or check out our amazing visualizer on thetileshop.com. That's thetileshop.com.
Introducing Herndon Certified. Herndon Certified used vehicles are quality assured and come with our 60-day warranty, complete with nationwide coverage. Don't just buy a used car. Buy a Herndon Certified used car and drive with confidence, knowing Herndon's got you covered. Find your perfect pre-owned in-store or online at HerndonChevy.com.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
The Game On Demand podcast menu.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner. 107.5 The Game. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. 100.5 The Game in Florence.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
20 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Monday. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Gamecock baseball coach Mark Kingston will make his regular Monday visit with the two of us coming up in about, let's call it 12 minutes or so. Inside of 15 minutes, let's put it that way. Mark will be with us. Gamecocks dropped 2 of 3 at Ole Miss. Got away from them late Saturday. Pretty good game yesterday. You hope that's one they can build off of. They got the bullpen going yesterday. They've lost 3 really close games to good teams. Another 5-4 on Friday night to Ole Miss, and those 2 to Clemson again Saturday. Yeah, it happens. I know Mississippi State run-ruled LSU this weekend. Sometimes it happens. I know you don't want it to.
Baseball's a game of randomness.
Yeah, but Carolina's still got some things they're trying to put together, and that could be for a lot of schools these days. That could be just something you're working on until April, that you just really don't know who you got and what they can really do for you. Trying to find some guys, especially again in the middle and back end of that bullpen to make a difference. Do have a women's basketball news note to give you. This is not really a surprise, but it was officially announced today that freshman forward Sanaya Ja will enter the transfer portal. This is the player who was suspended about a month ago for what at the time Dawn Staley called conduct detrimental to the team. I know, Elijah, you were in one of those post-game pressers when Dawn was talking about that. She didn't really go into great detail. That was an official suspension. There was sort of a technical suspension earlier in the season with her as well. At least that's kind of how I would label it. That's my words, but I think there was I think maybe I saw it described as, she was given a few days away earlier.
There was an indefinite tag on it at one point.
Yeah. Came back, played a little bit. The top 50 player in high school. Look, Dawn only recruits at a high level. She's from Virginia. She played high school at a big academy in Florida, I believe, at least the last couple of years. Dawn saying in a very brief statement, quote, "It's unfortunate that her time with us was short, but we wish her the best in the next steps of her career." 16 games, 3.1 points, 2.0 rebounds per game. But Sanaya Ja is no longer a South Carolina women's basketball player. I imagine now, with it being the middle of March, she'll finish out the semester.
Yeah, and I figured, that maybe after, I don't know, a month of the suspension, I was like, she's probably not coming back.
Right.
I got that. I had that feeling, but now it is official. She is not coming back.
Yeah, and look, we don't need to know. So I know some of you are like, what'd she do? If you got something early in the season and then an official suspension where she never really came back, like what? I don't know.
Something.
Conduct detrimental to the team could be a lot of things. Could be a lot of things. But I'm not here to, I like Dawn said, good luck, young lady, and hope whatever it is, you get it straight and go have a nice career because you're obviously a good basketball player.
Godspeed.
Yeah. So
send her on her way.
There's that. And again, South Carolina will open the tournament Friday afternoon around 2 o'clock. That North Carolina-Michigan State game is first. And then South Carolina against the winner of Sacred Heart or Presbyterian. So details to come. And the men start on Thursday. Around 4 o'clock. Now, am I making too much of the fact that they're playing in Pittsburgh? And by the way, Lamont said when he had his mocks in the tournament a couple of years ago.
That was in Pittsburgh. I did not realize that until now.
So, and if you're wondering why I say, like, what's wrong with Pittsburgh? Nothing. Pittsburgh's a fine town. But South Carolina lost to Coppin State in Pittsburgh. And I'm telling you, as someone who's been around this school as a young fan, then as a student, now as someone who still, cares about his alma mater, covers them professionally, and has a child in said school. And I've seen a lot in my 53-plus years of Gamecock athletics. Some big highs, some bad lows. That's still the lowest low.
I can imagine.
It's still the lowest low.
You reach the apex of your conference only to completely flame out to a 15 seed.
Yeah. So,
like Coppin State, I don't know if they've won an NCAA tournament game since then. Probably not. I don't know. Coppin State.
They won that one.
And that's the one that matters to you the most.
By the way, if you're wondering, like, what's the second lowest low, Jay? It's like 3 years later in that super regional against Lafayette. That was tough. I'm not.
You're ranking that worse. I was going to say, you're ranking that worse. Okay.
No, this is a good. But now, see, don't worry about it. I'm getting. This is what we're having to bring it up again.
You have worried absolutely nobody
to flush it all away again, just to say that Pittsburgh still there's just a scar when it comes to this event, and Lamont has a slight one as well. So as he said in his press conference yesterday, hey, time to just go 1-1 for him in Pittsburgh. So he's right.
That was
I like this matchup. I told you, and you studied this more closely than I. I think Oregon is probably this season more like a 7, 8, 9 than an 11. But they had some hiccups along the way early. But they are coming into this event having just won the Pac-12 tournament. So they're going to feel real good about who they are.
Oh, yeah. And with the big win being against Arizona, even though Arizona has kind of struggled with some of their conference foes this year, this is a team that in Oregon, wasn't going to make the NCAA tournament if they didn't have this run right here. And to be frank, Dana Altman has definitely underachieved the last few years. It's not like he's had, scrub rosters.
Right.
He's had pretty good rosters. They just haven't been able to achieve as to what they should, especially given how much money Phil Knight funnels into all of their athletics programs. I haven't gotten to watch them as much as I want to before, creating a prediction or anything yet. But my initial feel is definitely that they don't do anything, I guess, on paper that I'm like, oh, that's going to give the Gamecocks trouble. However, they do play very fast on defense. They're good at slowing or at speeding teams up. How much of an effect is that going to have on South Carolina? I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes South Carolina does play well when they're relatively sped up on offense, and then defensively is where they slow you down by making you have to milk a lot of the shot clock. So in terms of the different variables that go into pace-related results, this might have something to do with it, might not, but Oregon's a very interesting team because that they're at least a high ceiling 11 because there's a lot of talent on the roster. They just haven't been able to put hardly anything together this season until recently.
And I guess in terms of the bracket, by the way, Oregon and NC State basically filling the same role. To your point, they wouldn't have gotten in if they hadn't won their tournaments. They're not going to put them into the play-in round because of that automatic qualification. So that's why you see a couple of 10-seed lines. You got Colorado and Boise. Virginia is playing.
Oh, yuck. Yeah, Virginia is playing, which is our first mistake here. That's unfortunate.
But who do they have? Colorado State.
That's right.
So those are your play-in games for those kind of teams, which is interesting to me as well. But that's
they got the seeding wrong.
Yeah,
I know we'll get into that later today, but this might have been one of the worst seeding jobs the NCAA tournament has ever had, and it's going to create some really weird variance in the results of this.
Yeah, well, we got plenty to look at. The entire bracket. Again, it's fun for Carolina men's basketball fans to have their team back in this event rather than just sort of looking at it from a more third-party perspective. So we'll do a lot of that for you, but we'll get into the bracket. There's a lot of college football news to get into as well. So a lot to do on this Monday. But on the other side of the break, as promised, our weekly visit with Gamecock baseball coach Mark Kingston. Conference play is underway. How does Coach assess the first weekend over in Oxford? You'll hear it as the postgame show continues.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV.
Listen to Gamecocks baseball on The Game. And if a Gamecocks batter hits a grand slam,
you could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash. You could win cash in the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and register. Brought to you by Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union and The Game.
My friends, it's March. It's my month. And there's a way, now that the NCAA tournament bracket is set, my friends at Underdog Fantasy has a way to help you enjoy this event even more by playing one of my favorite games. I do it with the NBA all the time, but now you can play Pick'em. It's the easiest way to get in on the action here for the NCAA tournament. If you're making a bracket, this is the way to get involved in terms of keeping up with players. Like, pick 2 to 5 players to build a Pick'em entry, select higher or lower on all different kinds of stats, and this week's NCAA tournament games for a chance to win big. You went up to 100 times your money. That's a pretty good reward right there. I personally love doing steals and blocks, higher and lowers. Endless projections to choose from. You can create your own experience. Just go to the easy-use mobile app, UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with promo code 1075, and you'll get your first deposit matched. Must be 18 and older and present in a state where fantasy operates.
March into savings. Don't let water leaks have a fast break. Call American Leak Detection first. Family owned and operated for over 30 years, American Leak Detection has been finding and repairing hidden leaks in pools, yards, and under slabs in homes across the Midlands. Their state-of-the-art equipment and technology accurately locates hidden leaks without the destruction. Don't spend thousands running new water lines. Call the pros at American Leak Detection. Call them today at 749-LEAK or find them online at AmericanLeakDetection.com.
Worry less about spring cleaning and call Zerust Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $129 plus a free hallway. Book online at ZerustColumbia.com.
It's the season of love, and there's no sweeter time and place to feel it than today at Love Chevrolet. The heart-pounding rumble of the Silverado High Country. The captivating 2024 Chevy Trax SUV, most affordable in its class. No matter what features you're looking for in a brand new Chevy, your match is waiting for you right now at Love Chevy. In this 63rd season of Love, your trusted hometown Chevy dealer is proud to carry on the tradition of honesty, integrity, and treating customers like family. No fast talk, no gimmicks, no ridiculous add-on stickers. Simply the best selection of new Chevys at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer right now, and ready to drive home today. Don't forget about the $1,000 low price guarantee. Wow, there's a lot to love about Love Chevy. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
I like daffodils, tulips, the big dinner plate dahlias. I loved being in the garden, but I wasn't going to be able to because I could not only walk, but I couldn't really stand on my foot without being in pain. It was excruciating. So my husband said, let's go to the Good Feet store.
For over 20 years, we've helped people like Terry live the life they love without letting their feet get in the way.
This nice young man said, I think I can help you. He got the arch support, and I was fitted. And I kept walking back and forth across the store, and I looked at my husband and burst into tears because it was the first time in a year that I have not had any pain in my foot. I have had no pain since the day I bought them. Now I can do whatever I want. There isn't any place on my property that doesn't have flowers blooming 365 days a year. I still can't believe it. My name is Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Columbia near Whole Foods for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
What's up, folks? Anthony Armstrong here.
Bob Popple along with Super Bowl champion Carl Banks.
Hey, NFL fans. This is Solomon Wilcox, former NFL safety and host of the Believe in Bengals podcast. Catch my show and all 32 Believe NFL podcasts. Listen in to former players give their inside perspective on your favorite team. Search Believe, that's B-L-E-A-V, on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast.
It's always football season, wherever you listen.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Time to talk some Gamecock baseball. Conference play is underway. South Carolina back home now for Vanderbilt after the first weekend in Oxford. Gamecocks dropped 2 of 3. A tight one on Friday, one that got away from a little bit on Saturday, and a comfortable 6-2 win yesterday in Oxford. Carolina is in Greenville tomorrow to take on Upstate. And again, Vandy in town this weekend for the conference home opener. To discuss all of those things and more, we welcome back onto the broadcast head coach Mark Kingston. Always appreciate his time. Give us an assessment of the first big-time road trip of the year, Coach. How do you feel overall?
Well, wish we would have won one more game, obviously. The game Friday was there to be won. And going into the 8th inning in Game 2, it was there to be won. And we fell short in both of those. And then we played one of our better games of the year on Sunday. It was great to see the resolve of the team and the fact that when our backs were against the wall, we came out playing some of our best baseball. So, we played 27 innings. I think we pitched fairly well for all but one of those. So there's definitely some things to take from the weekend in a positive way, but there still are, a couple areas, especially offensively, where if we can just get some things to where we think they should be, I think we're going to be in good shape. The interesting thing about this weekend was all 7 SEC road teams lost the series. So every series was won by the home team this weekend, which I think is probably indicative of how the league's going to be this year. It's going to be an absolute tug of war all year, and you've just got to make sure you try to take take care of as many home series as you can and try to make sure when you're on the road you get at least one or two. So it's going to be a heck of a year.
I was looking at the stat book this morning, and you guys do have a lot of pitchers with ERAs under 4 right now, so I know you're still trying to maybe find some roles, and that's where I want to take you for a couple of questions here. Let's start with Matthew Becker, who's pitching very well for you, ERA under 2.5. Long relief stint yesterday for Roman, who just didn't have the control after an okay first couple of innings. Are you and Coach Williams still assessing what you want Matthew to be? Is there the possibility that he moves into the rotation, or is he starring for you at a place where you feel you may need him moving forward?
Everything is always on the table, and everything is always under consideration. Matthew was incredible yesterday. He came in and showed incredible poise. He got out of a huge jam in his first inning with the bases loaded and then really cruised the rest of the way. And his development now, as of lately, as of I would say his last maybe 2 outings, maybe going into 2.5 outings, he's been really, really good. And so the challenge is to try to figure out, does that mean we should elevate him back into the starting rotation, or should we let a good thing be a good thing and let him really be a tremendous weapon out of the bullpen, along with Good and Veach and Gainey and on and on? There's a lot of guys that you could say, okay, maybe the best recipe is to have him be a weapon out of the bullpen with those other guys. But the other school of thought is, hey, he pitched like a starter yesterday, and maybe you start the game with him. So those discussions are had all the time, and you just hope you land on things that will be best for your team.
And one thing that's really good for your team, Coach Kingston, is Blake Jackson making unreal, superhuman plays in the outfield. He made SportsCenter's top 10 this morning with the catch that he made in the 7th inning of the game yesterday. I mean, what have you seen from Blake this year in the outfield that makes something like that maybe not be a surprise, or is it a surprise to see him lay out like that and make a play?
Well, he had not been in the lineup for a while, and I just felt like we needed to try to do something to jumpstart the offense. His defense became a really nice bonus. Kennedy Jones has been playing out in left field and been doing a pretty solid job out there. But by putting Blake in the lineup, he's one of our better outfielders, so we put him in there defensively, and that moved Kennedy to the DH spot. And I thought he really did give us a spark. I think having him and Brewer and Tippett at the bottom of the lineup, what it did is it gave us 7 speed guys in the 7, 8, 9. So the bottom third of the lineup were all speed guys that you could bunt, hit and run, move runners, steal a base, do all kinds of things with them. And I thought it helped to just give a little bit more energy to our lineup instead of being a station-to-station power-only team. So I thought he gave us a nice spark. We'll see how we continue to evolve. But I like the look of the lineup. I like the feel of the lineup yesterday with his athleticism in there, both offensively and defensively.
Gamecock coach Mark Kingston joining us here on the program. Again, Carolina loses 2 of 3 at Ole Miss, Upstate tomorrow, and Greenville, Vanderbilt home this weekend. Let's stay with Kennedy Jones, Coach, if you don't mind. The offense, he's now your leading hitter at .388. He was 2 for 5 yesterday, also drew a walk, had a home run this weekend. What do you see in terms of his improvement and confidence growth here over the first month?
Well, I would say his confidence obviously is growing. The more success you have, the more confidence you gain because of that. It's funny. His story is very similar to a couple guys last year. He struggled this fall. He struggled this spring against our pitchers. And it was, we were trying to figure out what's going to help with his transition from mid-major baseball to big-time SEC baseball. And it just took some time for him to make the adjustments that were necessary. But when he got his opportunity, he ran with it. And he's been one of our best hitters since we inserted him in the starting lineup. I give him a lot of credit. He kept working through the frustration of not starting early in the season. And when he got his opportunity, he made the most of it. And so he's been a nice addition to the lineup. He'll continue to be in there, obviously, now. And he's going to be a mainstay. So if we can get him going and Cole and Petrie going and some of the other guys that aren't quite up to what we think they can be, again, I think everything will start to fall into place offensively for us.
Mark Kingston on with us right now. And Mark, got the game tomorrow. against USC Upstate. And then this weekend, a big series here at home against the Vanderbilt Commodores, who had about as impressive as a weekend as anybody in baseball has. And they've climbed up to number 3 in the country. What do we expect from them, and how you guys match up with them?
Well, I'll worry about them on Wednesday. We're going to focus, as most coaches probably you've ever talked to will tell you, we're going to worry about Upstate first, and then we'll move on to Vanderbilt after that. Playing a team tomorrow night that's got a really good record, that has really good stats. So it'll be fun to go up to Floor Field and try to play our best baseball up there in another pro park. And then come Wednesday, that's what we'll turn our focus to Vanderbilt.
Let me close out with Garrett Gainey, who looks like he has a hell of a time on the mound. I mean that in a good way. He seems to be having a lot of fun for you. He's got a lot of energy, Coach, but it's starting to come together. I thought the first pitch out yesterday to start his stint was a really big deal. I love those one pitch, one out type moments. It seems to get a pitcher kind of grounded into who he wants to be. What do you like best about him, and is he beginning to solidify a role at the back of the bullpen?
Yeah, I would say so. He's a power lefty that throws a very high percentage of strikes. So you get a power lefty up to 95 that pounds the zone with strikes and competes. That's a pretty good recipe for a closer right there. And as you've noticed, we've used Veach more in the stopper role, where he comes in to try to clean up a mess in the middle of the game, and having Gainey back there has allowed us to do that. So he's been a great development out of the bullpen. Ty Good has been a great development out of the bullpen. So, again, the season, you learn a lot of things about your team as the season progresses, and things you think will happen early on, sometimes they hold true, and other times a guy starts in a certain role, but you realize as you see him play more, there's a better role for the team for him. So, I think pitchers and hitters, we're still trying to figure out the best things for our team. But again, I think when it all comes together, when we kind of figure out the best roles for everybody, both in the weekend rotation, both on our defense, both in how the batting order lines up, I think this is a good team, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Speaking of roles, last thing for you real quick. Tomorrow night's starter, Copper the last couple, going with him again?
Yep, we'll go with Copper again and just hope that he continues to give us good, consistent outings, and then we can hand it over to the bullpen that's been pretty solid for us this year. So that's the goal.
Safe travels up to Greenville. Good luck, Coach. We'll talk to you again real soon. Always appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
You bet. That is Gamecock head baseball coach Mark Kingston. We'll have that one for you 5:45 airtime tomorrow, I believe. 6 o'clock first pitch from Greenville, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken?
You might not be. I don't have that on the sheet in front of me right now. I'll look.
Hang on, I'm looking.
We got sheets for this, and I just don't have it in front of me.
Yeah. Hey, look at me.
Look at you. An exercise in memory, and you aced it.
I thought I saw that earlier, but I had to go find the piece of paper to verify.
That's right.
The old Ronald Reagan thing, trust but verify. I trusted my brain.
But need to verify.
With the piece of paper from the program director.
I don't trust my brain. Which is why I verify.
Depends on the day. Interesting story, by the way, coming up for you on the other side. One of the coaches in the men's tournament. Really interesting. I'll tell you about it as we continue.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Download the 107.5 The Game app and listen anywhere. The beach, the gym, and yes, even there. Go to iTunes or Google Play and snag the 107.5 The Game app.
This is Jim Rome with the CBS Sports Minute. Going back to the weekend, I've got to give the Pittsburgh Steelers this much. They just pulled off the cheapest QB rebuild ever. They brought in Russ Wilson and Justin Fields for a grand total of $1.2 million and a conditional day 3 pick in next year's draft. Essentially, they brought in Russet and Justin for almost nothing, for almost free. I'm Jim Rome.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there. To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
When a cold keeps you up, try NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste to give your body the rest it needs to get that cold gone. Wake up refreshed, feeling relieved after enjoying the delicious flavor of NyQuil Severe Honey. NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor, use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide and services to showcase your invention. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380.
Bill Gunner for Dr. Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic. Getting older is never fun. You start experiencing some symptoms that you're not accustomed to. Maybe it's brain fog. Maybe it's low energy level. Maybe it's lack of drive and motivation. But at the Men's Clinic, Dr. Dan Balknight is ready to help you with an individualized treatment that will treat your needs. So give them a phone call today, 803-875-MENS. Again, that's 803-875-MENS, or visit them on the web for more information, mensclinicsc.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
There's something remarkable about the University of South Carolina. It's in the labs, where researchers are discovering ways to make communities healthier and stronger. It's in the nation's best first-year student experience, in top-ranked programs in nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education than ever before. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you can create something that benefits us all. Behold, the remarkable we.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Monday afternoon. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Thanks again to Coach Mark Kingston for joining us. We'll have sound from Coaches Paris and Staley coming up in a bit. By the way, more good news for Dawn Staley. We'll tell you about that in just a few. Not good news for Coach Dan Monson of Long Beach State. So 1 week ago today, Long Beach announced that Coach Monson would not be coming back after 17 seasons. They had lost 5 in a row to end the regular season. Pretty good basketball team. Had a chance at a potential at-large, although their league doesn't usually get them. But they were pretty good. But they lost 5 in a row. And he and the athletics director just, again, they announced it. I read the thing. It was like, we've mutually agreed. Now, usually that just means we want you to save a little face because you've been here a long time, right? So all they did this week is go win the Big West tournament.
And then get to participate in the NCAA tournament.
And get the automatic.
And make the school some money.
And get the automatic bid. And yesterday, when they won, Saturday, it was so awkward. They beat UC Davis in the final. And instead of like jumping up and down like coaches would do, or, even coaches that are more reserved, I swear, if all you saw was the coach's post-game handshake at midcourt, you would have said Coach Monson's team just lost. And he was like hacked off. And I watched it like 3 times going like, I don't want to say like I was trying to be sadistic or anything, right? But I was like, dang. Because I knew what had happened. Mm-hmm. Because it became a story, I guess, on Friday, like, hey.
They're in the championship.
They're going to play for a title, and they're probably going to win, and they did. By the way, for their hard work, they get Arizona in the West region.
Congrats.
Yeah. But still, he was asked, by the way, is his coaching career over? Quote, I don't think this is my last. I love coaching. I love teams. I need a new challenge. It's life. On to the next chapter. It's the second time that Coach Monson has led Long Beach into the NCAA tournament. They did so 12 years ago when he was in his 5th season at the helm. But it's just that's one of your more awkward storylines of the tournament. And again, if you go, I don't know, you go find it in your favorite highlight place, but if you see the end game handshake, you'll see him, and he really does. He looks really hacked off, man. And I feel for him. It's like, all right, we just won a tournament.
And I can't come back next year.
And I'm not coming back.
I got one more game, at least.
I mean, I don't know who else out in the greater L.A. area might need a coach. I mean, most of the schools in that, I feel like most of the schools in that league are in the greater L.A. area. Mm-hmm. Certainly, like half of the league is. But, go coach one of them, right?
Oh, wouldn't that be hilarious?
Like, does Riverside need a coach? I don't know.
Like having, or Hawaii would be a cool location for them. They're in the Big West.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, then that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
But then if he gets to go be the coach at Hawaii and then beats Long Beach State in a conference title game next year, that would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But if you're the school, you can't change your mind now. That cat is out of the bag.
No,
you can't bring him back now.
I mean, you could look.
You could. How good are you at dealing with that type of discomfort?
If
no one's going to trust anybody in the
and I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I imagine they are heavy underdogs.
Yeah, I think you'd be very.
But if you pull the 15-2,
not impossible. Arizona lost that game last year.
Then I think he comes back, and if he wants to. I think you have the conversation. I mean, I think you have the conversation this week, to be honest with you. But is it one of those things where there is something, and I don't know. I'm not going to lie here to my audience or to you, Elijah. I don't pay a lot of attention to the day-to-day machinations of the Long Beach State men's basketball program.
Missing out.
So I couldn't tell you that there aren't other things. Maybe he's not recruiting at a high enough level in a city like Los Angeles. Maybe it's just 17 years is a long time, and maybe it is just time. Maybe there are just some things that have fallen flat, but every once in a while you do catch the proverbial lightning in a bottle. I don't know. But if you win the Big West tournament and then you find a way to carry that momentum into beating Arizona, either that or I just go find one of these open jobs somewhere to be like, hey, I'm the dude that just won that game, and then I just beat Arizona. And by the way, they would draw at that point, should they win, the winner of Dayton and Nevada. I mean, Long Beach in the Sweet 16, people? I'm not predicting it.
But it would be really funny.
Be something. So good luck, Coach Monson. We're pulling for you. Some good news for Dawn Staley we'll tell you about coming up.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory, and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Let's go inside the Nest.
Hi, my name is Heather Ash, and I had the pleasure of working with the team at the Nest on our new construction. It felt like we were working with a concierge service from the beginning until the end. They were extremely responsive, knowledgeable, and kind. Mandy helped me choose the lighting, which I am so pleased with. I particularly love the Corbett lighting. Graham helped us with the appliances. We could not be more pleased, and I would highly recommend them to anyone.
Come see for yourself at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street in the Vista.
It's the season of love, and there's no sweeter time and place to feel it than today at Love Chevrolet. The heart-pounding rumble of the Silverado High Country. The captivating 2024 Chevy Trax SUV, most affordable in its class. No matter what features you're looking for in a brand new Chevy, your match is waiting for you right now at Love Chevy. In this 63rd season of Love, your trusted hometown Chevy dealer is proud to carry on the tradition of honesty, integrity, and treating customers like family. No fast talk, no gimmicks, no ridiculous add-on stickers. Simply the best selection of new Chevys at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer right now. And ready to drive home today. Don't forget about the $1,000 low price guarantee. Wow, there's a lot to love about Love Chevy. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions. The spring is here. Are you ready to get out and enjoy your pool? And if so, you need to have it clean. You need to have it maintained. And Corley Pool Solutions believes in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you. So give them a phone call today and line up some maintenance. 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. Your pool is Corley Pool Solutions' reputation. So you need to give them a call and get Tracy Corley out to your house today. 803-445-8109.
Join Angry Fish Brewing Company this week as they celebrate St. Patty's Day in style. They're excited to announce the release of 4 new beers: Snug Harbor 80 Shillings, a Scottish Ale, Tight Lines Irish Red, Roundabout ESB, Extra Special Bitter, and Pints O Gold Irish Pale Ale. And that's not all. They'll have live music with Eric Flanders on Saturday from 7 to 10, along with delicious food available every day. Make your way to Angry Fish on Fabrister Lane in Lexington this week for a St. Patty's Day celebration you won't forget. Remember, at Angry Fish, we drink all we can and sell the rest. Hungry for something delicious downtown? Look no further than Substation 2. Now open at 928 Main Street, just behind the State House. Freshly sliced meats and cheeses topped with the freshest, crispiest veggies, all on Substation 2's own white or sweet wheat bread. Dine in, take out, or even catering for your next event. Plus, with delivery available through DoorDash, you can enjoy Substation 2 wherever you are. Visit Substation2.com to explore their menu. Remember, it's how we make it that makes it taste so good. Substation 2, SubstationII.com. How would you like to drive a new car with no payments for 3 full months? That's exactly what you can do when your car loan is with State Credit Union. Visit one of their 19 branches or their website for details. Apply for your new car loan online at scscu.com. That's scscu.com. Offer not available for internal refinances. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right, we'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
803-630. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
This is defensive lineman Alex Hunley, and you're listening to Home of the Gamecocks 107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus media station.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Yeah.
4 o'clock Monday. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show. Coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia. He is Elijah Campbell. I am Jay Phillips. You are you, and we thank you for choosing to spend some of your afternoon with us. A lot of basketball to get to in this hour. Plus, we'll let you know what's going on with the latest information coming from the leadership of the college football playoff. If you see a headline, you're like, oh, good. They figured it all out. And then if you read the story, you realize, not really. But they're getting a little bit closer to letting us know what they're going to do long term. We'll have more of that for you coming up in a bit. As promised, though, first, some breaking news from just a little bit ago for South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley. To very few people's surprise, Dawn has been named the National Coach of the Year from the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. She has won the award 4 of the last 5 seasons. She becomes the first coach in history to capture it in 3 consecutive years. And she is now second all-time in terms of Coach of the Year awards from the U.S. BWA. I am not at all surprised by this one. And, whether you want to look at it in a couple of different ways, Bill Gunner and I joked about this last week. I say joked. I remember a few years ago, we were doing a football pregame show towards the end of a season. I forget what year. I want to say, I don't know, Elijah, maybe 17, 18. Or one of those times when Alabama was on their way to a championship. And the host of our show at the time, my good friend Brent Johnson, asked Langston and me, who we thought our coaches of the year were. And it was a year, maybe when Tua was doing his thing and Carolina had played them and we'd seen them and it just, you watch Alabama as they evolved into that team that could score 50 points almost at will while still holding you to maybe 13, 17, maybe 21 points because they just, let's just get them back on the field. Don't worry about it. And he had evolved from the 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of mentality that I'm sure he had been raised in, and shown in his early years at Michigan State and LSU to some degree. Bill made the point in our TV show last week of Steve Spurrier getting to Columbia, seeing a guy like Savell Newton and evolving into that coach then who, hey, this dual threat quarterback thing, that's all right. And because Savell opened his eyes. He had Blake Mitchell, who was a thrower, and Blake could throw some darts at times. But Savell, I think, really changed how Steve looked at quarterbacking. And then they went out and they recruited Steven Garcia, and they recruited Connor Shaw, and they had some really nice football seasons. Yes, Dylan Thompson came on the tail end of that as another guy who could throw some darts and was not what you would call a dual threat. But don't tell Dylan on that 3rd and long at Clemson. But Dawn has done the same thing is the point here that I'm ultimately making when you look at some of those examples of coaches who have their way, and their way isn't just successful. Their way has been incredibly successful. It won Nick Saban national championships. It won Steve Spurrier a national title and a whole bunch of SEC championships. Dawn Staley has been to multiple Final Fours and won championships with, I don't want to say an older brand. I don't mean it that way. Let's face it, her first title was only 7 years ago. But this year's team is so different than what we are accustomed to, primarily because the perimeter play has become such a focal point that they're one of the top three-point shooting teams in America. And a couple of years ago, you might not have thought they were ever going to do that because they didn't need to do that. But I think she knew she had some shooters on the squad in Raven and Bree. You bring in Tahina, and look what you've done. You lose 5 starters from a Final Four team, and you're still, without question, the best team in the country. Yes, it's a lot about talent, but it's her willingness to adapt to what basketball throws at her and then get these women to buy in that makes her the best coach in the country.
And it's not just that she overhauled that starting lineup and brought in a couple of new pieces, promoted some of the bench players to larger roles. Sometimes that happens, and you will find good success, and that's a good coaching job in its own. If they would have just gone, instead of 32-0, they were, 28-4. That's Coach of the Year worthy stuff.
Yeah, right.
But they did that, and she's still undefeated going into the NCAA tournament, and almost every coach you ask who coaches against her this year that played them last year will tell you this year's team's better. I know Dawn's not going to be the one to kind of pick between the two of who's better, maybe not publicly, but every other coach that has publicly commented and compared the two teams say this one's better. So to be able to compare, to be able to like lose what you lost, go undefeated in the regular season and in the SEC tournament, and then have that as the review from a lot of your peers is remarkable.
Yeah.
And there's not a coach in college sports right now that's doing it at that level.
Agreed. Here's an example for you. The great Diana Koval tells us this. The Gamecocks' 7 wins over ranked opponents are the second most in the country. They have 17 wins. Over half of their wins are against teams rated in the top 50 of the net. So that's quad 1s and quad 2s. 17 top 50 wins. And that's a credit not only to how well they play, but that you look at the non-con and how many teams in that non-con schedule. Notre Dame's a 2 seed. North Carolina's coming to Columbia. I mean, Maryland, Duke, they play quality basketball teams all the time. You got 3 wins over Tennessee. I realize one of them was a scary nail-biter.
And a little bit of a miracle.
But you won the game.
And that's all that matters.
It is, man. You beat LSU twice in their building this time and for a championship this time. I mean, obviously you haven't lost. You've beaten everybody, literally. But over half your wins against the top 50 in America.
They have 15 quad 1 wins this year.
That's great.
There are some teams in the men's tournament that don't have 19 wins that got at-large bids.
Right.
19 wins in total. Don's team has 15 quad 1 wins. That's remarkable.
So congratulations to Coach Staley. In fact, let's hear a little bit from her. Not about this, because I don't know that she's spoken about this yet, but give me cut 23 on our list today, please, Elijah. This is Dawn Staley reacting last night to being the #1 overall seed once again in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, it always felt good to be, to be the #1 overall seed and to be undefeated. I'm excited because we get a chance to know what our path is to win a national championship. And all great teams, a lot of familiar faces that's in our region, but we have to take it one game at a time. And that's what we'll do on Friday, no matter, I don't know what time it will be, but looking forward to it.
It'll be around 2 o'clock. Yeah. They got, am I right in saying that North Carolina and Michigan State are going to tip at 11:30? Does that sound right?
Yeah, sounds about right. Because they try their best to stagger them. That way you're able to
11:30
watch a little bit of one game. They'll probably have one at noon. They'll try to stagger these as much as possible to enhance viewership.
I wouldn't. That's a rough draw. 11:30 in the morning.
Having to play a team that is just as good as you in terms of seeding and having to do it before noon.
Your final score, 37-33.
Both teams are now due for a nap.
Right.
That would be me. I'd be due for the nap during the game.
And I'm not picking on the teams when I say it like that. It's just they're going to come out and be like, what are we doing? Of course, I asked that of Elijah the other day while he was up in Nashville. I was like, Tennessee did know what time the tip-off was.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, they might not have.
They didn't have clear direction, it looked like, on what time the tip was, and Mississippi State showed up.
State? That was impressive. That was impressive.
I mean, okay.
Tennessee did not. Ugh.
One of my favorite games from the week was Mississippi State-Auburn because that one might be the most physical basketball game.
Yeah.
Like, when football coaches talk about how much they like their practices when they can hear the pads popping. The pads were popping.
Yeah.
In that game. They were popping. That was a physical basketball game / wrestling match.
One more from Coach Dawn here before we hit the break and let you hear a lot from Coach Lamont Paris. Elijah, give me the cut 27. This is about a minute long here. What is Dawn still telling her team about what they can learn after last season, and especially with the way things went down against Iowa?
It feels different. Like, it feels different than it did last season. More so because probably last season there was a little bit more pressure on us because we we were just that. We were a team that had, a core players who had been together a long time, and we were supposed to win. Like, everybody had us winning. We had us winning a national championship. But this year, it doesn't seem as pressured as it was last year, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I like the team that we're bringing in to the tournament. I like the fact that we got a lot of depth. I like the fact that we can grind it out. I like the fact that we can, score a lot of score a lot of points. I like the fact that we can just play a lot of different styles of play and still end up winning basketball games. So we're seasoned enough to take hits from, different angles.
And again, Carolina, a -110 to win this tournament. The second best odds are Iowa's +450. So Carolina, heavy favorites to win another national championship.
Yeah, I'm sure if a lot of these sports books did just do South Carolina or the field, obviously South Carolina would be at minus odds.
Yeah.
And you could pick the field and still not feel great about that.
Right. Again, they should get things going around 2 o'clock. 1:30 will be airtime on Friday. Gamecocks take on the winner of Sacred Heart versus Presbyterian. They've seen PC once this year and beat them by 70. Should Carolina win their opener against that 16 seed, then they would get the winner, as we mentioned earlier, of the Michigan State-North Carolina game.
Remember in 1992, I wasn't around, but I've heard the clip. Charles Barkley, Dream Team, they asked him about their matchup against Angola.
Right.
Hey, I don't know anything about Angola, but I do know they're in trouble. Yeah. That's Sacred Heart and Presbyterian. I don't know anything about these two teams. I know they're in trouble.
I always like to leave the door open.
That's polite of you.
Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue last year.
They did. They absolutely did.
So I just like to leave the door open. I'm that guy.
Al Michaels asked if you believe in miracles, and you said yes.
I remember watching that game too. You know how not shattered. I did not know for a while, because I was like 9 when that game took place. That was on tape delay in the United States. I did not know that for like a while, because I just probably didn't think of it again when you're 9. I'm not asking, I'm sure other people knew like immediately.
Wait, the ESPN app didn't go off on your phone with a notification that's saying that Team USA
my mom didn't let me get my first iPhone until I was 10. So yeah,
close. So it is understandable.
But my iPhone was just a phone in the shape of an I,
a lowercase I.
Yeah,
as a phone.
Didn't have as many of the apps back then.
Yeah, software upgrades have changed a little bit since then.
Been working on it. But yeah, that's crazy, right? Like tape delay. And now if you wanted to watch it on some kind of delay that you were taping yourself, it would be ruined for you by
immediately
everything.
Immediately, yes, unless you had zero internet access and no one to spoil it for you.
I'm trying to remember the last time I did that, where I was like, I just tried to shut everything down. I really can't. Maybe like an Arsenal match in the Champions League like 10 or 12 years ago or something, where I was like, please don't tell me.
It's so difficult.
Well, and I think it was Bayern Munich, and I think they ended up beating the hell out of Arsenal, and so it was really just not worth it at all.
It probably got to a point in that game where, like, okay, I got to see what happens.
I was like, I waited for this.
How much of this can I put myself through?
I probably did. Auburn has drawn Bayern next month, too, by the way, for whatever that's worth to you. Some phone calls, some comments from Coach Paris as the postgame show continues.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Looking for something new in your career? Want to work with great people? Well, Roy and Dana Finley could be looking for you at AAA Heating and Air. Right now, they are hiring for multiple positions, including maintenance technicians, service technicians, and salespeople. And Roy wants to let you know he's only interested in the best of the best. They provide the highest pay in the industry, full insurance, 401k with a company match, take-home trucks, phones, and tablets. A lot of benefits to working with the great team at AAA Heating and Air. So if you're interested, 803-677-1500. Call them up. Tell them that you would like to talk more about an employment opportunity. And, of course, you use that same phone number when it comes to service with AAA, whether it's electrical service now, your HVAC, especially this time of year. Make sure you're going to stay nice and cool through the hot months, 803-677-1500, or call AAAtoday.com. Tell them Jay Phillips sent you to AAA Heating and Air.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Did you know that since 2002, more than 2.5 million lottery-funded scholarships such as Life, Hope, and Palmetto Teller scholarships have been awarded to South Carolina students? Playing for fun is a win for education. Visit seducationlottery.com/educationwins for more information.
Plus, text text entitled with proof credit call 866-243-4623 for detail. We interrupt this broadcast with an important news alert. There's a slasher on the loose. JT's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram is slashing prices. New Rams were $12,000 off, slashed to $14,000 off. New Jeeps were $10,000 off, slashed to $12,000 off. This just in. New Chargers and Challengers slashed $10,000 off. Now here's the weather. Whether or not your credit is cloudy, JTC's sunny days ahead. Nobody fights harder to get you approved. JT's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, Greystone Boulevard and 378 Lexington. Jeep Celebration event.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Hungry for something delicious downtown? Look no further than Substation 2. Now open at 928 Main Street, just behind the State House. Freshly sliced meats and cheeses topped with the freshest, crispiest veggies, all on Substation 2's own white or sweet wheat bread. Dine in, take out, or even catering for your next event. Plus, with delivery available through DoorDash, you can enjoy Substation 2 wherever you are. Visit Substation2.com to explore their menu. Remember, it's how we make it that makes it taste so good. Substation 2, SubstationII.com.
Take a moment and think of one thing that you really wanted to do recently, but you didn't because your foot, leg, or back pain got in the way. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and that's why we're here, to help you get back out there. Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet store are designed to alleviate foot, knee, hip, and back pain, plus provide improved balance, more comfort, and, well, a better life. Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
The Game on Demand podcast menu.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner. 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, 100.5 The Game in Florence.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Monday. Jay and Elijah with you. I want to remind you before we get into some phone calls to go to 1075thegame.com. Register for the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Every game, $25 is added to the pot. If a Carolina hitter hits a Grand Slam, you can win that cash right now. $525 could be yours if there's a Grand Slam. And I guess tomorrow there'll be another 50 or another 25, so 550 if there's a Grand Slam tomorrow night. But you can't win if you don't enter.
That's a fact.
I mean, I try to present a lot of opinion here, but it's based on fact. My opinion is that you should do this. The fact is you have to if you want to win.
And I have an opinion that, it's silly silly to get upset if you lose, if you don't enter.
Yeah.
So
kind of like voting.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Same thing. It's all about participation.
Go to 1075thegame.com. We thank our friends at Palmetto Citizens. Joe wants to talk a little basketball tournament as both men's and women's teams around here are headed in. Hey, Joe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jay. How are you guys today?
Well, sir. Hope you are.
I am doing well, thank you. I first of all, let me congratulate Coach Staley on her selection as Coach of the Year, and also both coaches for their great coaches job they did this year. But I just have to tell you, I am totally astounded by the number of first and second seed teams that lost in either the finals or semifinals of their conferences this past weekend.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss, sir, and if you don't remember who I am, I would be remiss if I did not point out to you that in the MAAC, number 1 seed Quinnipiac and number 2 seed Fairfield both fell to number 5 seed St. Peter's University, and we're back in the dance.
Nice. Did we meet you at Twin Peaks a couple years ago?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
okay.
was me.
I got you. Yeah, and you had the shirt.
I do.
Yeah, I remember.
Nice.
I remember. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. That was a run. You know what? St. Peter's was actually one of the teams that Greg Sankey mentioned in an interview on Saturday about why he personally is in favor of expanding this tournament. Not just about the big schools that, were okay, like the Mississippi States, but more like, hey, look at that run that St. Peter's went on. Like, we can.
I totally believe him.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, believe what you want, But yeah, that's they're doing. But you're right, man. Hold on real quick. Look, Connecticut won theirs, right? Houston lost. Let's see. Tennessee lost.
Purdue lost.
Arizona lost. Purdue lost. North Carolina lost. What other 2 seed? Let's see. No, well, Marquette lost, but that's...
Well, in terms of just conference 1 seeds, too, I mean, if you're a 1 seed in your conference tournament and you won it, you're a survivor.
Yeah.
Man. Like, Richmond in the A-10 got beat. Their A-10 had their top 4 seeds fall on they're all in their first game. So they had seeds 5 through 8 playing in the semis.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
It is.
That's just a microcosm of how crazy all of this was last week. We might have had the craziest championship week in the history of Conference Championship Week.
Well,
I hope
go ahead, Joe.
I hope Mr. Sankey is upset this weekend because, unfortunately, St. Peter's drew Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, right? I mean, don't have
know.
Tennessee's pretty good.
Yep,
your mark.
I know. I'll watch him.
But we'll see. But come see us, man. I think we're going to be out hanging out at Twin Peaks. At least some of us will. It depends on who's doing what. But thanks for the phone call, Joe. Yeah, I remember that. Joe came by. I'll tell you, a fun story, too. The year, I guess it was 19, right? The year that we hosted here in Columbia, the opening rounds.
Oh, yeah. Some really good games.
And like this year, Marquette is a 2. I don't think they made the tournament that year, but we had the best time. We were down at the Carolina Ale House, and there was a group of Marquette grads who were like in school when Al McGuire, when they won the title.
Oh, wow.
So like late 70s college guys, right?
Not yesterday. Yeah.
Right. No. When they won the national title.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It was like 1978, something like that. And these guys, after college, started every year, like a group of, there's like 6 of them. And every year, whether Marquette is in the tournament or not, they go to one city that's hosting games. And they go to a game or two, and they hang out in whatever bar. And this is a way for them to reunite every year and whatever. And it was the cool, like some of them still lived up around Milwaukee. One guy lived in New York. One guy wrote for like the Houston Chronicle.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it was cool. And we had them on. We were talking, but I spent like an hour with them away from the air. And it was just the best thing. And they were like, none of us have ever been to Columbia. That's why we came. We'd never been here. And again, Marquette wasn't playing, so they weren't here to follow their team. They just love college basketball. They love this event. They got hooked on it because their team won a title when they were in school. It was great, man. It
That's
great.
fun.
It was
That's
so
a fun tradition.
It really was. We had a really good time with that. So, I by the way, I hope we get to do that again soon. I know Columbia wants to. I know it's easier said than done. I know there were still a few logistical things around here that needed to be done from like full service hotels. And if I may, so hear me out as a lifelong Columbian, all right? But if Spokane, Washington is capable, all right, then, what do we need to do in Columbia? Like, come on. It's not Seattle, right? It's not Seattle. It's Spokane. So, and again, are we back in the mix? I need to call my good friend Scott Powers, who does a lot of that for the city, and figure some of those things out and where Carolina is and all of that. Look, I know it takes a lot to get that done. You bring in a lot of teams. You need a lot of hotel rooms. They need to be pretty close by. I get it. And you need to have, enough for media and fans and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But I know we're building more hotels, so maybe we're there. Maybe. But I'd love to have that. That was such a great weekend. And on top of that, amongst other games, Virginia was here and when they were great, but we got that Duke UCF game.
An all-timer. And that Virginia game, the first one against Gardner-Webb, was their first NCAA tournament game after losing to a 16 seed, and they got down at halftime.
Yeah.
Like the energy in that building had to have been fascinating. That dynamic got really weird for like 20 minutes of basketball, and then they won by 20.
Yeah. Yeah, they ended up being fine. And, of course, they won the title. That was, the biggest chip on the shoulder in the history of the sport, I think, that year.
Mm-hmm. Purdue's going to play with it this year.
They better.
You're going to have to.
They better, man. They better.
Purdue P can't take heartbreak for another year. Can't do it.
Joe, thanks for the phone call. More from Coach Paris on his team's opportunity now that the Gamecocks are back in the NCAAs. You are listening to the Postgame Show.
The Game Network. The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV.
Yes, that phone in your pocket or purse will keep you in touch with your family and friends. It will take great selfies of you on amazing adventures or just this morning's breakfast. And it's pretty good in case of an emergency. But the single most important function of your phone is the game.
But both defenses have been this year. What's so funny?
A noise. You can listen anywhere. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the Game app now.
Hey, looking to make improvements around the house? Maybe it's time for a new car. Maybe it's time for your first ever mortgage, or you're ready to refinance. Maybe you're putting the kids through school. Whatever the needs to borrow money, Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union is ready to help you out. As a local, not-for-profit financial institution, they've been serving the financial needs of the Midlands for more than 85 years. They don't have stockholders. They don't pay dividends. That means lower rates and fewer fees for you, their customer. Apply for any of those things. Again, like a new credit card, a car loan, whatever you need. PalmettoCitizens.org, or you can stop into any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations. My wife and I use the Millwood branch, not too far from our house. Great people up there. Whichever one you choose, you'll get some good folks. Learn a whole lot more about everything they can do for you. Again, PalmettoCitizens.org. And remember, at Palmetto Citizens, you can achieve your potential. Music fans, on Friday, March 22nd, a very special night is coming to Columbia. Southern Songwriters with Patrick Davis, a national television show produced for SCE-TV and American Public Television, is taping live at the historic Chappelle Auditorium at Allen University. Patrick will be joined by Drew Holcomb, David Ryan Harris, and Sean Mullins. This show will air on more than 300 stations this summer, and you can be part of it. Tickets are on sale at southernsongwriters.com or patrickdavismusic.com. One night only, March 22nd in Columbia.
JT's Kia Mania is back, and we're giving away 2 brand new Kias. Be there this Saturday at 5 p.m. No purchase necessary. Just come in and register at either location. JT's Kia, Greystone Boulevard or Killian Road. Don't miss this giveaway.
March into serenity and step into relaxation with the Spring Madness Member for a Day sale at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Indulge in exclusive benefits, including 10% off products, access to low member price services, and special savings on gift cards. Explore rejuvenation at their locations in the Columbia area or visit handandstone.com to unlock online offers. Embrace the tranquil spirit of spring. See spa for details. Restrictions may apply. Pete Alewine Pool and Spa is getting you ready for pool season with their March Mayhem sale. Saturday, March 16th through Saturday, March 23rd. 20% off all pool and spa chemicals to get your pool swim ready. 20% off salt, 20% off chlorine, 20% off algicides, 20% off shock, and more. March Mayhem at Pete Alewine Pool and Spa, March 16th through March 23rd. They're located at 5541 Sunset Boulevard. You'll find them on Facebook and Instagram or online at PeteAlewinePools.com.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Center, I'm Elijah Campbell. Got a few accidents to report to you that might be causing some delays on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start in Lexington County. I-20 westbound at I-26 near exit 64. There's an accident, what's causing some slow traffic backup. Here in Richland County on I-77 southbound after Two Notch Road near exit 17. An accident is causing some delays. A couple more here in Richland County. One on Polo Road at Mallet Hill Road. And one at Spear Creek Church Road over at US 1 near Two Notch Road.
You're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Talking a lot of basketball on this Monday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. Dawn Staley has been named the U.S. Basketball Writers Association National Coach of the Year. She's been the SEC Coach of the Year. Lamont Paris has been named the SEC Coach of the Year. Those national awards coming out. Got to feel like Lamont gets a lot of love in that one. Could we see both men's and women's basketball coaches here win conference and National Coach of the Year awards? Maybe.
Just missed out on the USBWA ones.
Yeah.
Calvin Sampson ended up winning, but
and that's fine.
Did a good job.
Yeah, except for yesterday
against Iowa State, where they may or may not have lost by 30-plus points.
That was rough.
Yeah,
and it was rough for Carolina fans. That's why you and I have already talked about it, and we'll mention it again here as we hear from Lamont. I know a few people were disappointed that you lost to Auburn by as many points as you did on Friday. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
You shouldn't be thrilled with losing by 30.
No.
In any instance.
And like I said, I had one guy hit me on Twitter, so I'm supposed to be okay with this, or I'm supposed to feel, and I was like, hey, you can feel however you feel, man. I'm just telling you that in the grand scheme of life in basketball 2024, I don't think it's that big a deal because this has only happened to you twice.
Those guys.
Three times. I mean, I feel like South Carolina, and you can correct me, I'm kind of going in my head real quick here. I feel like South Carolina has played like maybe 8 just bad halves of basketball. 4 of them are against Auburn.
Yeah, you can't. All 4 of the halves they played against Auburn were pretty bad.
One of them is against Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
One of them is against LSU.
Yep.
One of them was against Georgia. Honestly, one of them was against Mississippi, but you won that game here in Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Could have got away from you.
Am I missing one anywhere else where it was just a bad half? Like where you were just bad? I can't really think of one. I mean, I didn't like the first half against Vanderbilt.
I was going to say I didn't like the first half of the first half.
Yeah,
especially
I didn't.
Vanderbilt.
I didn't really like the first few minutes of the second half of the game in this Columbia against Missouri. But you won that game. But I wouldn't say the entire half was
It didn't last
bad.
the whole 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
first 9 minutes, second half against Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. But you found, but look, then you turned that one around, man. Because I thought that one really could have been one where it got away from you. Because again, the way Florida plays, they beat Auburn in Gainesville and
like a drum.
And I don't know how much the injury yesterday really set Florida back in the short term. Was it? And I don't want you to get graphic.
Yeah, I won't get graphic.
But I know that one was bad.
It was depressing.
Yeah.
It was really sad because while I couldn't see the injury that as it happened, I'm sitting towards the middle, like right behind the TV broadcast booth. I didn't have a good view of the play as it happened, but I had a good view of his facial expression when he was down, and that instantly told me something was really messed up.
Yeah,
something's really, really wrong. And with the trainers coming out there and with them getting a stretcher within
when I saw the stretcher,
30 seconds,
I was like, you could tell
seriously wrong.
You could tell. Excuse me. You knew something was serious, I think, when one of the trainers, like 3 dudes instantly came over.
Mm-hmm.
And within a few seconds, one of them, got up and sprinted away. And I was like, all right, that's not good.
Auburn assistant coach Stephen Pearl came. I saw him walking over there with a couple more towels to cover.
Right.
And that's when I kind of understood the severity of that injury. And having 2.5 minutes in the game, you have a long pause. His teammates were crying on the bench, and his mom was out on the floor, and
Todd Golden was crying too, man.
Yeah, I mean that was tough. That was a tough scene to witness, and probably the worst way you could start off a big game like that. And thankfully, you went into surgery very soon afterwards, and Florida. It took them a while to get back in the game, but in the second half they did cut it in 2 with about 15 minutes left. But what Micah Handlockton does to that defense, they don't play great perimeter defense, but they have 4 bigs who are good rim protectors, and Handlockton is probably the best rim protector on that team. And Auburn definitely took advantage of that because he was their best one-on-one post defender as well. And Janai Broom ended up being the MVP of the tournament, and because in that game he scored almost every time he caught the ball with his back to the basket. So I think it had a pretty decent impact. I think Auburn was going to win the game anyway. I think they were just that good. But I think that definitely had a visible effect on Florida.
It certainly seemed to. And Handlockton is a kid from the Charlotte area this season. 7 rebounds a game and just about 5 points a game. Only plays about half of every contest for Florida.
Blocks a lot of shots.
But as you said, he kind of helps set the early pace and tone. How detrimental we'll find out. Remind me again, Florida gets they get a play-in winner, yeah?
Mm-hmm. They get the winner, I believe it's Colorado and Boise State.
Yes. Again,
which Boise State being in Dayton is atrocious. It's one of the many sins I think the committee committed yesterday.
Lamont Paris speaking last night down at Home Team in 5 points after the selection show and cut 17. Let's just get the first reaction from Coach after what he learned about his team.
Excited, really excited. It was fun just to watch the guys. You know your name's going to get called up there, but still, just when the moment happens, to see their immediate reaction to that and all the work that they put in, and to be rewarded with having their name called was awesome. So just really excited for our fan base, for our students, for the city, the state. It was just an exciting moment.
And here's a little bit more from Lamont. He was asked after last night's selection show, what does it mean for your program to be here in just your second season?
I think it's awesome. I think it says we got the right people. I think that's what it says more than anything. It doesn't say that the plays I run are the best plays on planet Earth, but it says we have the right people around this program, and that's everything from coaches and our staff, to our players, certainly most importantly to our players, to our administration, to everybody that has poured into making this happen as quickly as it has. But, we have a good way about us. Our culture is exactly where we want it to be. We're ahead of schedule, probably. Again, I didn't think it was a 6-year process to get to the NCAA tournament. I also said one day, I aspire that our fans will be it'll be so ho-hum for us to get to the NCAA tournament that they'll only judge us by how many times we advance in the tournament. And we're still working on that, but this certainly in year 2 is the first step in that.
Oof. Well, that would be something. So that would be, and listen, can it be done? Sure. I mean,
absolutely.
Dawn's doing it.
Yeah.
Dawn's doing it. Kansas is ho-hum about it. 34 straight years that Kansas has been in.
Mm-hmm. Gonzaga's even at the point now. They have a record streak of NCAA tournaments made.
By the way, those were cops yesterday during Lamont. That wasn't anybody around here or anything that was in your neighborhood, wherever you might be right now.
Yeah, if you heard those sirens.
But they were going quick through 5 points on a Sunday evening. So somebody did something that they weren't supposed to do.
On St. Patrick's Day, there were shenanigans afoot. As evidenced by the clip.
Yeah, but good stuff. One more. Do I have time for one more? Yeah, we have time for one more. Yeah, thank you. Let's get to cut 22. Of course, Lamont, for many years working under Bo Ryan, where Wisconsin advanced to a championship game, multiple Final Fours and Elite Eights, and he had his mocks of UT Chattanooga in the tournament a couple of years ago. What is his philosophy this time of year?
You got to try to relax. That's easier said than done, particularly when you got some guys that are playing in this tournament for the first time. I think you got to try to relax. I think it helps you if your bread is buttered on the defensive side of things. I think because you can try really hard and have more impact on the defensive end. You can try really hard on offense, and that doesn't make the ball go in the hole anymore necessarily. So I think that's one way you can settle down and relax a little bit, is to dive into having some defensive successes early and then kind of let your offensive game come to you. But I think you have to be relaxed. I think you have to play relaxed. You have to be confident in your game plan. I think that's a big part of being relaxed. And then, the more you do that, the better chances, I think, to play well.
We'll have more from Coach Paris coming up in a bit, including some early thoughts on Oregon and more of what he wants to see from his guys. But, again, Carolina will take on the Oregon Ducks Thursday around 4 o'clock. There will be an airtime of 3:30, regardless, with Derek and Casey, the ball game in Pittsburgh. And should Carolina advance in that one, they would get the winner of, help me out, Creighton and Akron. I knew it was Creighton. But apparently Akron has the leading rebounder in the country.
Mm-hmm. Akron's no slouch. They were at the top of the MAC all season long. Yeah. I don't believe they were the 1 seed in that tournament. They were one of the 2s that survived.
Well, there you go. And Creighton, of course, has been excellent out of the mighty Big East.
They're scary.
Yeah.
That's a really good team. They only play about 5 good players, but all 5 of those dudes can play.
Good, man. No, they're good. Looking forward to it. And again, there's another sub-storyline there, a subplot. If Oregon advances, that Dana Altman might see Creighton, who...
Dana Altman Bowl.
He did some very nice things at Creighton, which allowed him to get paid by the University of Oregon. So we'll see how that goes. But Gamecock fans don't want to hear that one. But again, Thursday around 4 o'clock tip time in Pittsburgh, Carolina and the Ducks. All right, come back on the other side. Interesting, speaking of subplots, there's another one happening across college basketball. Let me say it like this. If you think bowl opt-outs have become problematic, might we be headed that direction in college basketball? We'll let you begin to decide as the postgame show continues.
The Game Network. The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. The Game will be at the beach, in the PD, and the Midlands. That almost covers the whole Palmetto State. In Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
This is Jim Rome with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by LL Flooring. LL Flooring, every step covered. I'm actually going to miss the NBA regular season, where Kyrie Irving went skyhook with his left hand to win it. But that's not what I'm going to miss. What I am going to miss is Wemby. No joke, I cannot get enough of this guy. I love watching him hoop. I'm Jim Rome.
At LL Flooring, we've been a trusted partner to pros for over 30 years. With over 400 nationwide warehouses full of in-stock, job-ready inventory, you'll get what you need. And our exclusive pro pricing means that pros never pay retail. Because at LL Flooring, all we do is floors. So we're going to do it right. Sign up for a free pro account today to start getting pro benefits. LL Flooring, every step covered.
When a cold comes on strong, try DayQuil's Severe Honey flavor. The daytime, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, Honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a Honeylicious taste, so a cold won't slow you down. Get back to your day feeling relieved, enjoying the delicious flavor of DayQuil Severe Honey. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor soothes your symptoms with a delicious taste. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you see me stopped in the McDonald's drive-thru, just staring at the menu with my "what should I order" face, don't interrupt. It's the most important decision I'll make all day. With 2 for $3.49 mix and match, I get to decide which of my faves to get. There's a McDouble with 2 100% pure beef patties, a McChicken, or a small fries. Mix and match 2 for $3.49. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos. A better, easier way to get term life insurance. All online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Honda ATVs and side-by-sides have a rock-solid reputation. And now you can get even more out of your new Honda with incredible deals on accessories. For a limited time, select Honda ATVs come with up to $300 in accessory savings, while select Honda side-by-sides come with up to $1,000 in accessory savings. Just head to Carolina Honda Powerhouse in Columbia and save big on accessories today. Carolina Honda Powerhouse, exit 70 off I-20, or visit CarolinaHonda.com. Honda accessory rebate offer is valid with the purchase of a new and unregistered 2024 and prior ATV, Pioneer and Talon models. Check with Carolina Honda Powerhouse for complete details.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Final few minutes of our second hour coming up in the final hour of the program. I'll have headlines of the day for you. More on both Carolina men's and women's basketball. Drive around the SEC coming up. Bowl opt-outs have become issues for a lot of fans and bowls and players and families around the country. I get it. I'm not a huge fan, but at the same time, I understand why it's happening. Now it's taking hold in college basketball. The Big East had Providence, Seton Hall, and St. John's, teams that all won 20 games this year or more, not make it to the NCAA tournament. St. John's, 20-13, 6 in a row that they had won before they lost to Connecticut in the Big East semis up at the Garden on Friday. Rick Pitino was really upset about it, and he has now had St. John's decline an invitation to the NIT. He's not alone. Porter Moser and Oklahoma felt they, at 20-12, should have gotten in, especially coming out like, Big East teams coming out of the Big 12, a power conference. They didn't make it. They did, unlike St. John's. Oklahoma kind of ended the regular season with more of a thud, losing 9 of their last 14. But Porter, who said, hey, the well-being of our student athletes is a top priority. So the NIT.
I didn't know the NIT was hazardous to their well-being.
Apparently it is. And Pitt also is not going to go. Now, a couple of Big East teams are going to make their way in. Tom Crean, if you didn't see it, Tom Crean, the former Indiana and Georgia coach, did, I think, have a rather impassioned plea / admonishment to schools that are doing this, saying that, man, if I'm coaching players and it's going to be their last opportunity to play competitively, i.e. guys that aren't going to go into the NBA or go play in Europe or somewhere, that you need to do that for them. And I think for the most part, he's right. I would agree with him. And I thought he did a nice job of that. Then I found out that 7 years ago, when he was still at Indiana, he also declined an NIT. But at least from what I understand, they didn't want to play in Bloomington. Yeah, we'll go, but maybe go on the road. So I don't know how that. Whatever. Look, so a little hypocritical, maybe. Whatever. He's a paid television analyst. But again, I thought his overall point, whether it had some flaws or not, was there. This is why I've said, I told you before, Elijah. So here I am again doing this, and it feels weird to me because I don't like sitting on a fence. I'm not advocating for an expanded NCAA tournament, but I am advocating for the NIT to either go away or be something that people want to be a part of. The NCAA owns the NIT. I always stress that point. A few years back, the NCAA bought the NIT. To do what with it, I don't know, because this is what's happening to it.
Wonderful investment.
Right. Like, this is what's happening to it. Now, you may say, well, Jay, the NCAA bought it, duh. And yet, what's ironic is that the one thing, it seems, there's a few, to be fair. Look, both these men's and women's tournaments are great. I love the College World Series. I know hockey fans love the Frozen Four. The NCAA actually does get some things right. NIT is not one of them, and yet they get basketball right. So either expand the tournament to allow these teams in and create some interest for your product and your brand, or just do away with the NIT altogether. But having Rick Pitino and Porter Moser and others say, that ain't good for anybody.
No. Well, it's also an embarrassing look for those guys, and that's a whole separate thing. But here's the thing. There are plenty of teams that would love to play in the NIT, but the NCAA shunned them out because it used to be the rule that if you won your regular season title, you have an auto bid to the NIT if you were not to make the NCAA tournament. There were several teams
which for mid and small major, or mid majors and small schools, yeah.
Big deal. Yeah. You know who wouldn't turn down a bid to the NIT? Eastern Kentucky,
right.
A team that won their conference and did so in an impressive fashion and isn't playing postseason basketball because they got upset by a 10 seed in the first round of their conference tournament. I'm sure they would love to play in the NIT. There are plenty of teams that would love to play in the NIT. And instead, the NCAA elected, because they were so scared of maybe a potential Fox Sports tournament being run by the members of the conferences that Fox has, rights to, that they said, no, we need big names in here, which big names in NIT is already an oxymoronical sentence in its own. You're not getting big names unless those big names go 15-15, pal. Right. So they kind of stepped in it themselves by shunning the teams that would have loved to have been there and tried to pander towards the ones who would not want to be caught dead there. That's the problem. That is their own issue, and this was totally foreseeable, and now they have a problem on their hands because this is going to happen every stinking
this will grow.
year.
Yeah, this problem will grow. And again, that's what I say. It's a lot like bowl opt-outs. You will say, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, again, like Coach Crean said, for some guys that are going to get their last opportunity to play competitively for their school, you should go ahead and do it. And I can see why maybe some coaches don't want to do it. But again, either expand the field and let these kind of schools in, or do away with this altogether. But if this continues to, and look, I don't know what Disney has to say about it in terms of TV viewership, but that's a whole other story. Headlines, more from both Carolina coaches in the drive around the SEC coming up. Hey, you looking for a career change, especially if you are in the HVAC industry? Maybe you're in your truck right now on the way back to the office after a long day of work, and you're like, I'd like to do this maybe just a little bit better. Well, then AAA Heating and Air is looking for you. Roy and Dana Finley want the best of the best, and they are willing to put their money where their mouth is. You get insurance and those benefits, a matching 401k, company vehicle, company phone, company tablet. They're looking for everything, too. Maintenance guys, service guys, salespeople. If you can do it, they're ready to have you at AAA Heating and Air. Call them up. Let them know that you're interested. 803-677-1500 is the phone number. 803-677-1500. Same phone number that you use, by the way, when you need that service at your home. Or it's time for a brand new system. Do what I've done, Bill Gunner, and many of your friends and neighbors. Stay comfortable all the time. Tell them Jay Phillips sent you when you call AAA Heating and Air.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
Brakes for less. If you have the squeal, we have the deal. Get all 4 brakes for $239. Brakes for Less, located in Columbia and Sumter. Call 803-254-STOP for an appointment or just walk in.
JT's Kia Mania is back and we're giving away 2 brand new Kias. Be there this Saturday at 5 p.m. No purchase necessary. Just come in and register at either location. JT's Kia, Greystone Boulevard or Killian Road. Don't miss this giveaway.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence. It's time to check out what up in the world of sports.
This just in, breaking news.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to report to you that might be causing some delays on the roadways this afternoon. And we're going to start off in Lexington County. An accident at I-20 westbound over at I-26 near exit 64 is causing some delays, has been for a little bit. Here in town, an accident's been reported at Senate Street near Bull Street. That's causing some traffic backup. A couple other here in the county, US 176 Broad River Road at Bush River Road, as well as one at Spear Creek Church Road at US 1 near Two Notch Road.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
This is USC linebacker Mo Kaba, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, home of the Gamecocks.
A Cumulus media station.
It's time to check out what up in the world of sports.
This just in. Breaking news is breaking out everywhere.
The 5 o'clock news.
The Postgame Show.
If you're just joining us, I'm covering some breaking news. You know news is breaking because I'm telling you so, and I might touch my earpiece like this.
5 o'clock news, sponsored by Integrated Media.
Columbia's premier home theater and security experts for over 20 years.
And it is time for the news on this Monday. Welcome in. Also, the final hour of the post-game show. Wherever you are, appreciate you being with us. We, by the way, are Elijah Campbell. He's over there, fresh off his trip to Nashville, Tennessee for the SEC Championships. Jay Phillips here giving you this. We got Drive Around the SEC coming up with more of Elijah's take on what happened as Auburn won their first title. Well, actually, they won 5 years ago.
Yeah, the last time they did that, they went to a Final Four.
Yeah, that was a good team.
This is a good
really
good team.
I have more on them, by the way, in terms of their projections.
Ooh,
it's interesting as a 4 seed. It's interesting. But we'll start with the locals. The Gamecock men are the 6th seed in the Midwest. They'll take on number 11 Oregon. That game will be Thursday around 4 o'clock up in Pittsburgh. Whichever team advances will get the winner of Creighton versus Akron. Dawn Staley's women are the number 1 overall seed, to the surprise of absolutely no one. Again, they are a minus 110 as the favorite to win the entire championship. The next best odds are Iowa's plus 450. So South Carolina, a heavy favorite to win the NCAA championship for the 3rd time under Coach Dawn Staley. Clemson is in as a 6th seed as well. They are in the West against New Mexico. And congratulations to the College of Charleston. They are in. They will get Alabama, Charleston, the 13 seed, to Alabama's 4. That also in the West. So the state of South Carolina, especially in the men's side of things, very well represented. That don't happen very often around here.
Absolutely
It did this time. I think I don't know a lot about New Mexico. Elijah, you know more about these in terms of 6-11 matchups. I don't know which team. I mean, Carolina's a very slight favorite. I honestly haven't seen Clemson's spread as of yet. I imagine that both 6 seeds will be favored in this one. I imagine some feel that maybe Clemson has a little more of an edge. I don't know.
Oh, I think Clemson might end up going into this game as an underdog.
No?
I think it might get to that point. I feel confident about New Mexico winning this game.
Yeah.
New Mexico's got some dudes, man. Jalen House is a really good basketball player, really good shot creator. Big man Nelly Jr. Joseph was one of the best players at Iona when Pitino took him to the NCAA tournament not too long ago. He was an all-conference player there. Jamal Mashburn's son is playing for New Mexico for Rick Pitino's son.
Yeah,
so if you want some weird 90s nostalgia there,
man,
there is some being recreated.
People have asked me before, for whatever it's worth, real quick, as an aside on that story, who's the best college basketball player you ever saw play in person? I didn't say Shaq.
Saw Mashburn.
I said Jamal Mashburn, man.
Pretty good, and had a good career in the NBA.
He was so good in college. So good. I mean, I saw Shaq. Don't get me wrong. But Mashburn and that Kentucky team back then, man, he was. Is he better than you? Yes.
End of story.
Yeah.
End of analysis. He is better.
Yeah. I remember when Tayshaun Prince came into Columbia, and I was like, oh, he's one of those.
Yeah. And then he became one of the best role players in the NBA for like a decade.
I was like, he's just better than you in college. But Jamal Mashburn. But anyway, no, that's interesting.
Good,
and then for Charleston, boy, just try to disrupt, I guess.
Well, I think they will.
Yeah.
I've picked them to win that game.
Did you?
I'm picking them straight up to win that game. I think they beat Alabama because Alabama can't guard anybody. And Pat Kelsey's team can run with the best of them. Oh, they like to shoot a whole lot of threes, too. Oh, and they're actually really good at making a whole lot of threes as well. They'll play Alabama's game.
Not here to
they do it very well.
Not here to be a downer. Several of my friends went to the College of Charleston. Fine institution. Is Pat Kelsey coaching his last games this month?
I think he could, especially when they beat Alabama. Yeah.
Louisville,
I could see it.
Louisville Cardinals?
If you're Louisville, you got to think about it. I know they're going to swing for the bit. They're going to swing for the fences.
You should.
As they should.
You should.
You're Louisville.
But you're not getting Scott Drew. Scott Drew's not walking through that door.
No, he's not.
Billy Donovan's not walking through that door.
We can Patino game a ton of really big names that will not be walking through that door.
Right. Mark Few's not walking through that door.
We absolutely ain't walking through that door.
Because Mark Few could already walk through some big doors.
Oh, there have been a lot of doors opened and red carpets rolled out of said door. And Mark Few didn't follow in.
You know who else isn't going to Louisville?
Kenny Payne.
Rick Pitino.
Also Rick Pitino. Rick Pitino ain't walking through that door. Him in that white suit, that's staying in St. John's. Maybe Will Wade will.
I am sorry they didn't make it St. John's.
No, I'm not.
But you should play. I mean, you get to go back to the Garden and win. Go win the NIT, Rick.
You know,
you're a New York guy.
You know, I don't feel bad for Rick Pitino. Because wasn't it just a couple weeks ago he was telling the whole world, God and all creation, how laterally slow his players are? Maybe the NCAA tournament didn't want a bunch of laterally slow players in their event.
Yes,
I don't know.
You tried to
your
sell
words,
them.
dude, not mine.
Right.
They're your words.
Yeah.
I didn't do a really good sell job to the committee. A little too late now that the bracket's been set for you to try to convince some people and change some minds. But maybe if you were, instead of talking about how miserable you were and how the experience is the worst of your career and how every player that you recruited to go play for you is laterally slow and not good enough to play at this level, maybe the people in that room were like, wow, maybe they are deserving of their net ranking.
Even he doesn't like them.
Yeah, this guy doesn't like this team. Why should we like them? And you know what? They're right. Yeah. So Rick, instead of crying about thinking the net rating is a fraud, instead of crying about everything else you wanted to cry about, how about you don't just trash your team publicly, and then maybe people won't be able to believe the words you say. I know we're not accustomed to that, but you can try it.
More on the Gamecock men's and women's teams coming up for you with comments from Coach Paris and Coach Staley here in just a little bit. Baseball started conference play this weekend all across the country, really. Actually, some might have started last week. But the SEC started this weekend. South Carolina did not have a great trip over to Oxford, losing Friday night 5-4. We're playing a tight game until late on Saturday, but that one just got away from them. 12-3 the final. And then yesterday, getting the Sunday victory, 6-2. Matthew Becker got the win, coming in on relief of Roman Kimball. Gary Caney closed it out with 6 outs in the 8th and 9th. Talmadge LeCroy had a good weekend. Kennedy Jones had a very good weekend for South Carolina. Gamecocks are now 15-5, obviously starting the season 1-2 in conference play. They are at a neutral site game tomorrow night. As they will go to Greenville to take on Upstate. Last week, they won another neutral site game against Georgia State over in North Augusta. Vanderbilt will be in town this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for the conference home opener. Staying with some baseball news as we continue our integrated media headlines of the day. The Atlanta Braves have made some rotation moves. Bryce Elder will not. Now remember, Bryce Elder made the All-Star game last year. Bryce Elder has been optioned to AAA Gwinnett to begin the season down there. The Braves have decided to go with Ronaldo Lopez as their 5th starter. He signed a $10 million per year deal, a $30 million 3-year deal in November. He's allowed just 4 earned runs over 16 1/3 innings in 5 spring appearances. Elder, on the other hand, has given up 11 earned runs and 15 hits in 12 innings and 8.25 ERA. Elder did begin last season at AAA, got recalled early, and going into the break had a 7-2 record with a 2.97 ERA, but it ain't happening for him right now. So that's an interesting move. Lopez has been a starter for the White Sox, the Angels, and for Cleveland. Again, a 3-year, $30 million deal, but the Braves will have him start the year in Atlanta. We'll see what happens to Bryce Elder moving forward. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was a big part of the rotation.
Yeah.
Last year, showed a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. It just fell apart for him, and it hadn't picked it back up.
Great college player.
You can, but it may take a little while. We shall see. I know this happened a couple of days ago, but Elijah and I weren't here, and there has been a little bit more movement on this. But if you did not hear it the other day, all 9 FBS conferences, Pac-12 no longer gets a vote, bless their heart, and Notre Dame did agree to the next college football playoff contract, which will begin in 2026. and will obviously be a 12-team format. It is expected to go to 14. So that's why I mentioned this earlier in the show. They've agreed to the contract. So what they've agreed to, y'all, is the cash money, which is going to be $1.3 billion per year from ESPN. We talked about this about a month ago when this story was being floated. A lot of fans around the country were unhappy that NBC, CBS, Fox weren't going to participate in this. But the fact of the matter is Disney got right of first refusal. And Disney made an offer that clearly the leadership of the CFP said, yep, we'll take that. So you can find ways, even with right of first refusal negotiations, for the other dude to know, give or take, what kind of numbers are being thrown around. And it seems pretty obvious to me that those other guys weren't going to do that. Now, one thing that did happen is that Disney has in their contract the ability to sub out some of these games if there is future expansion. But as I understand it, Disney keeps that money.
The mouse gets a little fatter.
Savvy.
Yeah. Smart.
Mickey knows what's up.
Mickey's been doing this for a long time. He signed a lot of deals, usually coming out on top on all of those.
Knows what's up. But they are still now, apparently, they needed to get this done. They needed to tell Disney, yes, we'll take your money. Now they have a little more time to decide on whether or not they will expand to 14 schools. I'm going to go out. Go ahead. Let's see. 5/11, Monday, March 18. Mark it down, Elijah. They will expand past 12 schools. Whether it's 14 or 16, I don't know. I think they like the 14 because it offers a bye. I think they want that carrot dangling in front of these schools. For that whole regular season means something kind of thing. Like I've said, I think playing for home field advantage is a big deal. But if you can play for home field advantage and a bye, why not? At least that's what I hope they do. I don't like the neutral site thing. This being beholden to bowl sites, as I like to say here, industry term,
Industry term.
Just tired of that. I'd rather play at home.
Well, it's pretty indicative of a lot of the major bowl games and their attempts to stall the progress of the sport for the last 20 years.
Yeah, something like that.
They've been pretty good and pretty adamant about making sure that we don't forget about the Rose Bowl.
Finally, I'm happy about this. The owner of Sports Illustrated has come to an agreement with Minute Media, not to be confused with the orange juice company Minute Maid. They will, Minute Media, who runs, amongst other things, the Players Tribune, which is cool.
Yeah.
And Fan-Sided, which is sometimes cool.
It was cool when I was there.
Minute Media is going to take over SI. They have agreed to begin to restart publishing the magazine as a magazine that you hold in your hand and turn pages.
Physical.
Whether it's weekly or not, I guess I doubt it. I don't know. One of the great things about SI was that it was weekly, so it was somewhat timely. I mean, a monthly sports magazine doesn't do me a lot of good, but if it's features and stuff, that'll be all right. Regardless, there was real fear not all that long ago because of that company that owned them, the Arena Group, which was called Maven, whatever the hell that means. I mean, they ran this thing into the ground faster than a comet hitting the earth, man. I mean, they wrecked it and then wrecked it some more, as if you can do that. But they did. They found a way to just almost kill, maybe other than now ESPN, as just the iconic, you immediately figure it's sports, SI, Sports Illustrated. I mean, they nearly killed it. And they didn't have to. Thank God that it's now being revived.
Has anybody embarrassed an iconic brand quite like that?
I can't think of one. Maybe if we stop and think, perhaps.
Kenny Payne at Louisville. Just kidding. Speaking of timely jokes.
But I mean, these people just, I don't even know what they were. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were always drunk in their board meetings and didn't, this will be fun. Let's have them do, I don't know what
they're cutting costs. They thought they're cutting costs by getting AI to write their articles, and it turns out it's really bleeping obvious whenever they do.
That's the headlines today. But congrats, Sports Illustrated and Sports Illustrated workers. I'm happy and back in what we need here in the United States. Good sports reporting on a regular basis by the national folks. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. They're great folks, and they know what's up with the modern world. They're not going to have AI come in and install your system. They'll do it with people who know what's up. 803-948-8327, security, home theater, and more. Integrated media. Back with more on the Gamecocks as the postgame show continues.
The Game Network. The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Got a take? Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line. Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen. 803-404-6100. On your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Discover Herndon Certified. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
JT's Kia Mania is back, and we're giving away 2 brand new Kias. Be there this Saturday at 5 p.m. No purchase necessary. Just come in and register at either location. JT's Kia, Greystone Boulevard or Killian Road. Don't miss this giveaway.
The tournament is here. BetOnline is your bracket headquarters for this season with the best bracket contest out there and odds, lines, and info on every game and every round right up until the national championship. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
The Game On Demand podcast menu. Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner. 107.5 The Game. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Let me give you a solid reason to download the McDonald's app. 3 words. Free Big Mac. That's right. When you download the McD app and spend just $1, you get an iconic Big Mac for free. Those tasty beef patties with melty cheese, shredded lettuce, pickles, and that legendary sauce. Woo! It's an icon for a reason. And right now it's free. Only in the McD app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid once through the last day of the month for first-time app users at participating McDonald's. May take up to 48 hours to appear in your deals. Program available only at participating McDonald's. Excludes delivery and tax.
Bill Gunner here for Ecton Law Firm. I tell you, if you've been having tax troubles, they're bothering you, they're weighing you down, you don't need to let that happen any longer. Let the stress of taxes be taken care of by the Ecton Law Firm. Set up a free consultation today, 803-771-9800. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. At the Ecton Law Firm, they understand the challenges you or your business could face. That's why John Ecton and his team are ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. With proven local solutions, they've helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours escape the IRS maze. So take the first steps to a worry-free life today by contacting the Ecton Law Firm, 803-771-9800, or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com, the John Ecton Law Firm.
Introducing Herndon Certified. Herndon Certified used vehicles are quality assured and come with our 60-day warranty, complete with nationwide coverage. Don't just buy a used car. Buy a Herndon Certified used car and drive with confidence, knowing Herndon's got you covered. Find your perfect pre-owned in-store or online at HerndonChevy.com.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? I'm Dr. Mark Bentley with Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, and I know the secret. Our unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd like to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged or boxed meals, no surgery, and no hypnosis, call my office now at 803-999-3020.
Lee, location at the Columbia Secret for Weight Loss.
We had some health scares with other members of our family. We knew that we needed to get healthier. We lost 20 pounds in a month. I'm happy about that and still progressing and using the lessons and the things learned from Columbia Secret for Weight Loss to help me in my journey.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. That's a half a pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 803-999-3020. That's 803-999-3020. 803-999-3020 or ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence. The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
And these are games in Pittsburgh on Thursday, starting with South Carolina, the 6th seed. After being picked to finish last in the SEC, they tied for second. And it's their first tournament since 2017. Lamont Paris, the SEC Coach of the Year. And they will face the 11 seed who clinched it last night, the Oregon Ducks.
CBS television yesterday, the selection show, and you heard the Gamecock team reacting to that news. They had a big event down at Home Team in 5 Points. And for a lot of these guys, their first ever trip in, Talon Cooper's been to the tournament.
This is his second.
Yeah.
With a different team.
So it's kind of nice, too, to have your point guard as the one guy to maybe show you the way a little bit. Lamont, of course, has been several times as an assistant and once as a head coach. And even he mentioned, maybe we're a little ahead of schedule. He says he wants it to become ho-hum. We had that quote from Coach a little while ago. As Elijah pointed out to us as well, we know Dawn Staley won the National Coach of the Year award from the USBWA, the Basketball Writers Association. Kelvin Sampson got that for. I'd love to see. I don't know. Did they publish, or we just know the winner? Did they publish second, third, and all that?
In the press release, they just mentioned the winner.
Okay.
But
you know anybody over there?
I know someone who has a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kelvin Sampson wasn't on my ballot.
How many do
you only get 3?
Okay.
It was a tough 3.
Sure.
Left Kelvin off.
Kelvin's a good coach.
Oh, he's a great coach. Hall of Fame coach.
He was not happy yesterday. That was an ugly game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose by 30.
Sometimes you lose by 30 to a team that's a carbon copy of your team.
Yeah.
Iowa State and Houston are the Spider-Man meme.
Right.
In basketball form.
Right.
But one of those Spider-Men just suplexed the other one and embarrassed it on a national stage.
We'll come back in around to some sound from Coach Paris. Want to get back to Coach Dawn Staley's #1 Gamecocks, and a couple here. This one is Dawn. Yeah, you might think that when you're undefeated and you've lost like 3 times in your last, 105 games, that being on top of the world is pretty easy. Dawn Staley will disagree.
They don't even think about being undefeated. I probably think more about being the #1 overall seed than at all, because it's a really hard place to be. It means you played a really tough schedule. It means that you've been successful. It means that you've done something right for the majority of the season, and for it to be us with the team that came into the season with so many holes and so many unknowns. Really proud that they were able to get us back here.
#1 overall seed. And once again, if you missed me say it earlier, South Carolina a -110 to win the championship. Second best odds are Iowa's +450. So in other words, for South Carolina, if you want to win $100 on them, you have to bet $110 or do the math on anything that's equivalent. Until you bet $100 on Iowa, you can win $450. So Carolina, an overwhelming favorite. When you're minus
to win a championship.
Yeah, because that's. I mean, let me go. I don't have it. I'll have to go back and find it now. I think Connecticut is the #1, but they're like +350.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're at plus odds. Pretty significantly.
Yeah. So on the men's side. But one more here from Coach Dawn. Again, last year, all 5 of the starters that went to the Final Four and ultimately fell in that game to Iowa are gone. So she says, she's telling us now, what's the mentality of a team that feels younger?
It feels a little bit different because they're so young, and they just, it's like every day is a new day. You know, I thought probably last year was more like Groundhog's Day. You just kind of get through the regular season and get to the Final Four and championship because they knew what they had to do. This team, they just start over every day. Every day is something new. Every day they work hard. Every day they figure it out, and it's kind of a scary but cool dynamic.
John, there's
So there you go, scary but cool dynamic. Yeah, you do wonder sometimes. And like I said, of late here, South Carolina continues to win, but the Tennessee scare was real, and LSU is very good. And we saw what happened at the end there, where frustrations boiled over from both teams. How does South Carolina kind of put those two games? You don't want to say behind you. You did win.
He's got to learn from them.
Yeah, but what do you do, to take that step forward? Again, South Carolina, the number 1 seed, they will start their tournament on Friday afternoon down at CLA. Tip-off is around 2 o'clock. They will get the winner of Presbyterian versus Sacred Heart. And the game prior to Carolina's game is North Carolina, who I thought played very well against South Carolina in Chapel Hill in this regular season, and Michigan State. That's the 8-9 game.
That's a really good 8-9 game.
Interesting game. Should South Carolina win, they move on. Those two games, they move on to Albany for the Sweet 16. Meantime, Coach Parrish's team will start on Thursday afternoon around 4 o'clock against the aforementioned Oregon Ducks. You heard that CBS announcement. Cut 18 here, Elijah. This is Coach Parrish saying, hey, right now, more than anything else, dudes, just got to keep doing what we're doing.
I think just going about business as usual. You're going to be excited, but trying to just as quickly as you can get down to business and normalize what's happening out there. And it'll be crazy for the first couple minutes when guys get in the game, and then the sooner they can get into it, the better. But we'll go. I'm headed over to the office here now. We'll start to gather some information on Oregon and start watching film and putting a game plan together. We'll get together with the guys tomorrow and have a practice, and then get ready to get to it.
It'll be kind of crazy, he says, when they first get in the game. That's probably true. Is this a Normandale type moment?
Get the tape measure.
The tape measure out.
Tell them, 10 feet, height of the goal, the same it is anywhere else.
Yeah. The thing is, they've been to some big gyms, right?
They have. That was something you'd probably have to do if you make the Final Four. So
right.
You're playing in a football
stadium.
Then
You're
like, whoa. Yeah. That's something I've always wanted to do, is shoot a basketball on a basketball court in a football stadium like that, to see how much that depth perception would mess me up.
Well, try to get you credentialed regardless?
Well, yeah, the credential is one thing. Getting the ball in my hands is another. Convincing them to let me take some jumpers on that floor might be the biggest hurdle.
How much money you got?
Not enough.
Come on, man. You work in radio. What are you talking about?
I got some Monopoly money we could probably use. Could be good.
Real quick before we get, do I have time for? Yeah, I got time for this one. Here's a quick Sunday night scouting report from Lamont Paris on the Ducks.
I saw him play last night, and that's about it. Not surprisingly, I haven't been, since I just found out a couple minutes ago, I haven't been brushing up on my Oregon basketball all season, but I know they have a former Gamecock on their team, and he played really well in their championship game. And I know that if you win that Pac-12 tournament, you're a good team. So at this point, every team that's in the NCAA tournament is either really good, or they're playing really well, or both. And so you have to be ready to play, and you have to expect to play well if you're going to advance in that tournament.
That former Gamecock, by the way, is Jermaine Couisnard, who was the second leading scorer for the Ducks this season, right around, let me get it for you to be sure, 15.4 points per game in better than 32 minutes, averaging 4.5 rebounds, let's call it 3.5 assists, and about 1.5 steals per game. Also shot 32, let's call it 33%, so it made about a third of his threes. A good season. He's a good basketball player.
They use him a lot. He is leading the team in usage in terms of percentage of possessions used and percentage of shots. When he's on the floor, he takes 27% of his team's shots.
Yeah. He's a good basketball player.
They rely on him.
I'm glad he landed on his feet well out there. He's been out there a couple of seasons, and now he'll get to see at least a couple of his teammates, Jacoby Wright and Josh Gray. Everybody else is new to the Gamecocks since he left for Eugene. Come back with a drive around the SEC. You are listening to Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, and the Postgame Show.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Ever sit in this meeting?
What would you say you do here?
I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that?
Think to yourself, man, I'd rather be listening to The Game.
You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Well, just go to iTunes or Google Play and download our app on all of your devices, and you'll never be without The Game again.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we're getting ready to get our last major cold snap of the year. All right, and then it's nothing but swimming pool weather from then until Halloween. And if you don't have a swimming pool in your backyard yet, then now is the time to get in touch with the experts at PL Wine Pool and Spa for years, decades even. The leader in vinyl, fiberglass, and gunite swimming pool design and installation from start to finish. Their team is with you to make sure that backyard dream doesn't just become a reality. That's almost the easy part for them. No, it's going to stay that reality because they'll be with you to keep it clean, keep it maintained. Anything goes wrong, they're there for you. Maybe you have a vinyl pool and the liner gets a little faded from that one side where the sun always hits it. They'll replace it for you. And do that now so that you can enjoy the entire pool season here in the Midlands of South Carolina. 5541 Sunset Boulevard in Lexington, online at plwinepools.com. It's like the two beverages, ale and wine. Pete Ale Wine, Pool and Spa.
JT's Kia Mania is back, and we're giving away 2 brand new Kias. Be there this Saturday at 5 p.m. No purchase necessary. Just come in and register at either location. JT's Kia, Greystone Boulevard or Killian Road. Don't miss this giveaway.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultrafine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled...
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Center, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to report to you today that are causing some delays on the roadways this Monday afternoon. We'll start here in Richland County. An accident reported on Clemson Road at South Carolina 555 and Farrah Road is causing some backup. Got another one on Forum Drive at Fashion Drive here in Richland County. In Lexington County, an accident on I-20 westbound over at I-26 near exit 64 is causing some traffic delay. And back in Richland County, one's recently been reported at Polo Road at Mallet Hill Road, and one still causing some issues is Senate Street near Bull Street.
As they say in the bayou, laissez la bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. LSU sits on the throne of college football.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Monday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. I'm going to toss a lot of things over here Elijah's way as he was in Nashville for the men's basketball tournament after covering the entire women's tournament up in Greenville the week prior. Auburn, congratulations to Bruce Pearl and his team. 86-67 winners over the Florida Gators yesterday. Florida, especially considering, again, what had happened to them earlier in the contest when one of their star players or starters went down early with an awful injury. They managed to hang around for a bit because for a while there it looked ugly. But if you didn't see it, Micah Handlington, a kid from the Charlotte area, broke his leg about 2 or 3 minutes into the game.
2.5,
and you knew it was bad right away. You could just tell. And sometimes but. Once they got him stretchered off and the team found its composure, they played well. But then what Auburn does to so many, it sometimes doesn't even feel like it. They just drift away from you. They don't necessarily explode on you. They just go 3 for 1, 4 for 1 possession-wise, and they score every time, and you take a bad shot, and then they go score again, and then you take a bad shot, and then they go score again, and suddenly what was a 6-point game or an 8-point game is an 18-point game, and you're like, wait a minute, we were only down 6 just a second ago. And that's pretty much what happened to Florida yesterday.
And the wild thing about it, too, is Auburn is so deep that it's almost like a magic 8-ball to tell you who's going to be the player that creates that separation, right?
Ask again later.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you have to ask again later. And for a couple of games this year, it did that ask again later for an entire game.
Don't bet on it.
That's right. Many times. When it went to Mississippi State, it said, don't even bother. But yesterday, Florida got down to 1, about 15 and a half minutes to go in the game. And you could feel, them getting their confidence back. You could feel them snap back in it. Trey Donaldson, point guard for Auburn, who had 8 points and 4 assists for the entire game, in a minute and a half, had 6 points, 1 of those assists, and a steal to create a personal 8-0 run of his own doing.
Right.
And with the only 2 threes he made in the game were in back-to-back possessions. And then just like that, when you think you got it down to 1, you think you're back in this game, boom. One guy goes on a run like that who hadn't been doing it all day, and you're down double digits again.
Mm-hmm.
That was the deflating stretch, and the stretch that really defined what Auburn is, especially because they're getting stops. They buckled down, got stops, forced more turnovers. I mean, Florida shot 36%, and that might be the best shooting percentage anyone had on Auburn this past weekend.
Connecticut is the favorite to win the men's tournament. We mentioned this earlier. They're plus 375, so my mistake, not plus 350, close. Houston is plus 550 as a 1 seed. Purdue is plus 700 as a 1 seed. Arizona is actually 4th as a 2 at 11-1. Chapel Hill is a 1 seed at 13-1. All right, so there's your top 5 favorites, Elijah, to win the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The 6th best odds, 4 seed Auburn at 16-1. That's it. That's one of those. I don't watch that show too much on ESPN now with the
Daily Wager?
Yeah. But I got to think that's a nice play.
I would like to say that is the play. If you look at the top 7 teams in KenPom, they are all 1 or 2 seeds, with the exception of the Auburn Tigers. They're 4. As a 4 seed, they are the 4th best team in KenPom. There's only one team in the country, and we mentioned this earlier if you missed it, there's only one team in the country that is top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency per KenPom. That is Auburn. And historically speaking, you got to be in the top 25 in offense or defense if you are to have won a title in the KenPom era. Only one team has not done that. That was 2014 UConn. So, out of all that sample size we have, there are a few teams that fit that criteria. Auburn really fits that criteria.
I have a serious question for you.
I might have a serious answer. Maybe. I might.
Auburn's only so-called bad loss, they lost in Boone to Appalachian State.
Who won their conference in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn's a 4. All right, Auburn lost to Baylor. Auburn lost to Alabama. Auburn lost to Mississippi State. Auburn lost to Florida. Auburn lost to Kentucky. And Auburn lost to Tennessee. What do all those schools have in common? They're going to this tournament, and yet Auburn's a 4.
And half of those losses they avenged.
Yeah.
They avenged the Mississippi State loss in Nashville. They avenged the Florida loss in Nashville. They avenged the Alabama loss at home.
I'm not, as you mentioned, some of the seedings are questionable this year.
Atrocious.
But Auburn's not
bad ones.
Auburn's not a 4. Why is Auburn a 4? That's the question I have. That's not a 4 seed.
No. I think sometimes that, while we talk about sorting wins and quadrants, and while that is really important, sometimes the best advice I can give you if you're on the committee is to turn on your TV and watch some basketball games, because you watch that Auburn team and you watch them play and you understand that maybe the only reason they only have a slight little bit of quad 1 wins, they didn't have a lot. I think they almost tripled their total this weekend.
Right.
Was because a lot of those teams teetered right on the line of whether it be 30, where they're playing them at home, or they're on the road, 75 at home,
on the road.
and then on the road at 30,
right,
or maybe a neutral site at 50. I mean, Appalachian State's a good team, and if that's your worst loss as a true road game, I think you're doing pretty good. And I think there was a valid question of, hey, how well does Auburn actually play away from Neville Arena?
Yeah.
Well, I think we learned that they play pretty darn good away from it, especially against high competition. Auburn is that's a team that I didn't get to appreciate as much until I was on the floor basically with them, watching them play defense. And that might be one of the most in tune defensive units in the country.
Yeah.
And in terms of multifaceted defenses, that actually might be the best, along with Houston and Iowa State. The same way UConn can beat you in a plethora of different ways on offense, Auburn can do that on defense because they can take that plethora of things that you do really well away from you and just straight up make you uncomfortable all game. And if you ask Lamont Paris what he felt, if he could sum up that entire game against Auburn,
right,
I think discomfort might be the first thing that comes to mind, because they did not look like they were in any type of rhythm, groove, or any sense of comfort for that entire basketball game. And they're not the only ones that happened to them this weekend, too, because Florida looked that way through a lot of the game, and Mississippi State absolutely looked like that.
Well, as we talked about, that Mississippi State victory for Auburn over the Bulldogs Saturday afternoon was the only victory this season where Auburn won by single digits. And let that sink in for a second, because you might think, man, I was like, that's the only game they won by single digits.
Mm-hmm.
Every other one of their 26 victories was by double digits. And some of them were blowouts. Again, we saw it twice with South Carolina. 8 total SEC schools are in the men's and women's tournaments. Tennessee is taking on St. Peter's. This is the men's side. Bama versus Charleston. Kentucky gets Oakland. That's in Michigan, not California. Carolina, of course, taking on Oregon. Auburn gets Yale. A&M, Nebraska. More on that in a second. Florida gets the winner of Boise versus Colorado. And State will take on Michigan State. Interesting battle of states there.
I bet you MSU wins.
Nice.
How much you want
on the women's side, Vandy and Auburn are in the play-in games. Carolina, LSU, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and A&M. A&M is playing Nebraska in the men's and women's tournament.
How about that?
The Trev Alberts basketball thing. Isn't that weird?
It almost it's starting to make you think it's intentional, because
I think you know what, man,
that might be because A&M being a 9 is also one of the more egregious overseedings of a team.
Yeah,
you lost 14 games.
Yeah,
you're in the bottom half of your league.
They love the strength of schedule is what I read.
Well, I like teams that win.
I was going to say, you got to win, too.
I was going to say, anybody can try to do something that's really hard, but if you don't succeed in it, then just about anybody can do what you're doing.
Yeah. But, Nebraska and A&M playing on the men's and women's tournament.
That's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure that's the only preordained matchup that's out there. Might see a couple here and there, but that was kind of interesting. And by the way, Greg Sankey says that the NCAA tournament needs, in his opinion, a healthy review.
Well, he's about to get a healthy review from me.
Expansion. That's what he's saying. Healthy review. That's the drive around the SEC, brought to you by Herndon Chevrolet. More of your phone calls as the postgame show continues.
The Game Network.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming live on The Game TV. Yes, that phone in your pocket or purse will keep you in touch with your family and friends. It will take great selfies of you on amazing adventures or just this morning's breakfast. And it's pretty good in case of an emergency. But the single most important function of your phone is the game.
But both defenses have been this year. What's so funny? A noise.
You can listen anywhere. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the Game app now.
This is Zach Gelb with the CBS Sports Minute. Caleb Williams will be the first pick of the draft to Chicago. Daniel Jeremiah recently told me he thinks it's more likely that the Commanders would trade back at 2 than the Patriots at 3. I don't think either the Commanders nor Pats will trade back, though. So that means 3 quarterbacks will be the first 3 picks of the draft. And then all eyes will be on the Cardinals. Will they trade the 4th pick to a team like Minnesota looking to snag a QB? Or will Arizona keep it and select Marvin Harrison Jr.? I'm Zach Gelb. CBS Sports Minute.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
There's something remarkable about the University of South Carolina. It's in the labs, where researchers are discovering ways to make communities healthier and stronger. It's in the nation's best first-year student experience, in top-ranked programs in nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education than ever before. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you can create something that benefits us all. Behold, the remarkable we.
I still remember the one that got away. I was just about to reel in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish for a bite and my girlfriend grabbed it. Luckily, with the McDonald's app, I was able to get 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches for just $6. The McD app has an exclusive deal on my Fave Fish sandwich, made with crispy fish fillet patty on melty American cheese and topped with creamy tartar sauce. With 2 for $6 in the McD app, I can always get my hands on a great deal. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid 2/12/24 through 3/31/24 at participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Must opt into rewards.
You call that a precision stunt?
When a rookie stunt driver, just give me a shot, meets the trainer who thought he'd seen it all.
Come on, focus.
They'll soon find out that behind the wheel of the Nissan Rogue, with the power of VC turbo and the most fuel-efficient gas-powered engine in its class,
watch this,
the protege can become a master. But this is no ordinary blockbuster. It's a Nissan sales event ad.
Whoa!
Level up your drive with 1.9% APR financing for 60 months on the 2023 Nissan Rogue. Shop the Nissan sales event. Visit your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
Auto Pacific segmentation excluding hybrids and electric vehicles. 2024 EPA fuel economy estimates from 28 city, 34 highway to 30 city, 37 highway for 2024 Nissan Rogue. Actual mileage may vary. For well-qualified buyers, 1.9% APR financing for 60 months on new 2023 Rogue and dealer stock. Example, 60 months financing at $1,748 per month per thousand financed. Actual down payment may vary. Subject to residency restrictions and NMAC credit approval. Not all buyers qualify. Dealer contribution may affect actual price set by dealer. Contact dealer for details. Ends 4/1/24.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the post-game show on this Monday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Elijah back after the weekend in Nashville. Did you buy me any boots?
Only the nicest of leather.
I mean, you lived in Nashville for like the majority of your life. So going to Nashville isn't like it is for, say, me last summer when I had finally gone to Nashville for the first time. But we didn't go down there doing any honky-tonkin' or whatever they call it.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to lie. It was good to be back to see family. I love Bridgestone Arena, and I love the SEC tournament. It's a fantastic event. But, man, I did realize exactly how much better my blood pressure is living here and not having to sit in that traffic every day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't stay downtown. I stayed with my brother and one of my friends who lived together in Antioch, which is only about, in theory, a 10-minute drive outside downtown.
So we talked about last week, like that some development out in Blythewood that said 25 minutes to downtown Columbia. I was like, yeah.
Laughable.
Between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yes, and that is about it. And that is basically what Antioch is. So it was nice to get to see them, and it was nice to get to do that. But, man, driving in that town is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I don't have to do it.
Yeah, I didn't have to drive. Michael Haney took us around once, and but not like in the downtown area. We went through like the Music Row, whatever they call it.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where I did my show from, or I did the show from on Wednesday.
That was kind of cool. Yeah. I did not realize that like
awesome.
All those places are basically like in old houses. I didn't realize that. I would have figured like swanky office buildings. Nope. Quite the contrary.
They have done a really good job of preserving that. I will say the one thing City's done is doing a really good job preserving a lot of the really cool stuff, and not overly corporatizing the entire town.
Well, good to have you back, and we may be sending you right back out on the road. So
that's right.
Don't unpack.
I stay ready, so I never have to get ready. I'm basically Chase Daniel, but not making as much money.
Nice.
Not even a fraction.
John will have the final say on this Monday. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
Well, my mood today is much better than it was at this time on Friday. And, I've seen some similarities and contrasts with this go-around than we did in 2017. One thing I find similar, Jay, is that, we go to the SEC tournament and, okay, we had a really good win on Thursday, but then we had that game on Friday, which kind of, left me with a few concerns.
Your mood was sour, John. Let's call it what it is.
It was. Well, I was concerned, more than anything. But then Selection Sunday happens, and there's our name right there on the selection show, and all of a sudden that Friday feeling just went completely out the door, and it's like, a brand new feeling. Let's get going. Let's start this thing up. One thing that I think, though, is a little bit different is that on Selection Sunday this time, unlike 2017, you didn't have, the specter of what had happened the previous year hanging over you, so you're thinking anything can possibly happen. I think it was kind of almost anticlimactic that this team got selected. It's exciting for sure, but, 7 years is basically nothing compared to the 13 that we went through prior to in 2017. That being said, interesting draw. If we can get going on Thursday and get a good win, who knows? I'm going to certainly fill out a bracket, and I'm going to do like I did last time. I'm going to pick Carolina to win the whole thing because why the hell not? You're only in this thing so many times. It's not like Kansas or Purdue or whomever who go seemingly every single year. Live it up, have fun, enjoy the ride, and let's see if we can start out on Thursday and get a win.
I like their opportunity, John, and thank you as always. I feel like I had to play a little therapist for John via Twitter on Friday.
Yeah.
But I get it. Listen, I'm not picking on it because I love John. John's a great caller, and he loves his Gamecocks. I get why people were concerned on Friday. But it isn't, to me, to his point, indirectly at least, how Carolina fans felt in 2017 losing to Alabama in the SEC tournament. Because there was another one that year. I know it's not 40 and 30-point margins, but Avery Johnson's Alabama was a bad matchup for Frank Martin's teams that whole season. It was just weird, man. It's like you knew you were better than them. You're more talented than them. You're better than them. Why can't you bleep and win the game? And you just didn't. And I got to tell you, I think this year, maybe I'm wrong, but from my own point of view, I think there are far more reasons for optimism going into the tournament. No one saw that Final Four run coming. I mean, you had Baylor and Duke in front of you, man, and Marquette. You had to beat Marquette first. Then Baylor and Duke were in front of Duke, then Baylor.
Yeah, beat Jason Tatum.
I mean, and I'm telling you, by the way, talk about bad halves of basketball. The best half of basketball I've ever seen South Carolina play was that second half against Duke.
Oh, they put it away.
I don't know where that came from. You can bottle some of that and transfer it into what happens for this team. But I like where this team is. Will they beat Oregon? I don't know. We'll talk a lot more about it on tomorrow's show, though. Appreciate all of you being with us. Thanks to Mark Kington as well. He's Elijah. I'm Jay. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon